web of knowledge we spin all day, talking spiders every week they don't play. From the tarantula to the tiny mite, 8 legs of wisdom bringing truth to light. On the spider sense they break down the fear, creepy crawly legends are getting clear. For the love of science spreading wide, uniting communities in arachnid pride. We tune in, listen up, let it right, feel the fascination flip overnight. Spider wisdom flowing through the airwaves, building bridges with the facts it pays.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 8th episode of the Spider Sense podcast. I am your host, Jennifer at Jen's Peculiar Exotics. This is my guest, Megan. How are you today, Megan?
I'm phenomenal.
Good. Today we're going to be talking about women in the exotic pet hobby, and also we're going to kind of go over almost debunking different things about Old World Tarantula behavior that we often see misconcepted. So, yeah, I just want to get started. And Megan, did you want to ask me any questions to begin with, or do you want to just get it rolling?
I'm ready to get it rolling if you are.
Okay.
I'm excited.
I am too. So this is my first time meeting Megan face to face. And we have also talked previously before. We both own tarantulas and different reptiles. As you can see, both behind us, we have enclosures. And we also do a lot of positive promoting for tarantulas and other reptiles. Megan does a lot on her Instagram. More than I do. I see a lot of your reels, Megan. They're great. I love them. I'm also working on my reels to influence that way. I'm still getting used to editing them and coming up with ideas. They make me a little nervous, but they are so fun to make. But
honestly, it's so funny that you're saying that, because I was following you, I think, for a hot minute on maybe TikTok or Instagram. Regardless, and I'm like, oh my God, this girl's literally inspiring me to just keep making content. So it's funny to hear
awesome.
that it was kind of reversed, you know?
Right. I feel it happens a lot like that. We see each other and we're all we're all the same, but I feel I do inspire each other to keep making content and to push each other in that way positively.
Absolutely. And I love that about the entire community.
Yeah, everybody's super helpful in the community, even men. A lot of times, you ask them questions, they're really helpful. The women are really supportive, and it's a really great community to be a part of, especially the tarantula community. I can't speak for all of the communities, especially
Right.
the snake or the reptiles. But for the tarantula community, for the most part, it's a really cool group of people, I would say.
That's a great experience.
But I do want to talk about the different pros and cons of women in the hobby. So what would you think are some different pros and cons?
I feel like the pros to a lot of women being in this hobby and in this field probably are more so the fact that it's always been viewed as kind of a man's thing. You know, you've got guys wrestling crocodiles, and even in movies, it's kind of fed into us. Where it's like a girl sees a snake and she's screaming, hysterically, or they're running after her, and it's just such nonsense, And so we've been given this representation of women in the hobby, I feel, that is inaccurate, because there's so many women out there that are so intelligent, knowing what they're doing, and like you said, inspiring each other. Women are I find they can be very uplifting to each other, and they're always willing to learn from each other. And I think that's a massive pro. I think it opens up a lot of doors as far as education goes. And not just for exotic animals, spiders, but also for things like sharks. I'm seeing a lot more women in that field as well. And it's really a great thing to see. I think it's good advancement, especially in this day and age where we're at now,
Yeah, for sure.
Cons, I think that I want to be careful with my wording here, right?
This is a safe space, though. You're okay.
I figure. I'm going to be a little careful with my wording. I feel like the cons to it, though, is that it is one of the most difficult hobbies to be in as a woman, and you're going to get a lot of criticism, and you're going to get a lot of hate, just Because you're a woman that's holding a snake or a tarantula or you keep venomous animals, you know, and that
Yeah.
can put a lot of mental pressure, I think, on a lot of different women. And that can
Mhm.
get really hard.
Yeah, and I do agree with that because I have seen like people that the uh, for them their animals are just like something that they do and that they enjoy, that they want to enjoy, but almost feel pressured like they have to post or create content like other girls that are in the hobby. And I feel like I wonder where that comes from, because I just feel like I don't know. I feel like nobody's really pressuring anybody, but there are different levels to this hobby, obviously, and women are so new to it in a way that we are like, we are establishing our presence here. We are letting them know, like, we aren't scared of these animals. We are a different breed of women. We're over here playing with their giant tarantulas. They stomp at us, and we are definitely a different breed, but um you know as a woman in the hobby, I have found that like my reach to promote positive awareness for these animals is easier as a girl to like reach larger audiences, and which is why I try to take advantage of being a girl in this hobby to reach wider audiences that normally wouldn't be paying attention to spiders. But hey, I'm a girl holding a spider, so some people might pay attention, even get curious. But even if they don't like the spiders, or they are still scared of them, they don't mind, and they are learning something. They're still exposing themselves to it, and they're learning that these tarantulas aren't really that bad, or like the snakes aren't really that bad, because there's there's like this huge fine line with being a creator in like the animal world. Like, there's so many fine lines, like you have to be careful not to cross or go over.
Right.
But you really just have to know your audience and know what you want to like bring to the table as an ambassador for these animals per se.
Oh, absolutely. And I think kind of going back to what you said on feeling the pressure on social media, and always having to create content, that's
Hmm.
really hard. And I think because we do see a lot of fellow females that are really good at getting really good shots, right? Or they're just really good at expressing themselves.
Right.
I personally, I'm pretty ADHD, so when it comes to talking and interviewing and all this, I can find it kind of difficult. But some of these girls are so phenomenal at it. And I think that's
Right.
kind of what puts that pressure,
Right.
and we put it on ourselves.
That is true. But I do think it is good to always have, but like that bar, like you're always trying to like raise the bar for yourself and, push yourself farther. Like that's how I always kind of am. And I am pretty ADHD too, which is why when I'm talking, you'll like find me like talking into like other sentences. Sometimes I'm talking about like
Same
10 different things at once. It's
all the
literally just like
time.
the way I talk. Like I'm literally like trying to listen to you as best as I can without like coming up with thoughts in my own head and like
Say
missing
I
what you're talking about.
Yes.
It's definitely a struggle. I definitely feel that. And sometimes I get so nervous just sitting down and doing these interviews because I'm really awkward sometimes. And,
Same.
and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings either. That's not ever
Right.
my mission. This is a really safe place for anybody. Um, but it definitely is hard being a lady because, there's because on the internet there's all kinds of women in all kinds of industries, and like as a woman creator with the reptiles and the arachnids, it's hard to gain a large following
That's
at
hard.
any pace or in any way as a female with a giant spider on their
Right.
hands. For real, it's not that easy as you would think it is. There's like this huge gap, I feel like, between like our whole community as a whole and like the outside world. I don't
Oh,
know if you feel
absolutely.
that like when you're like
Yes.
online and you're watching videos, but like you're like you would think that they would have discovered us by now, but no,
Right.
like we still live in our own world. We are our own people. It's a small community. Like, like the breeder friends that I have are friends with each other, so it's
They all
like,
know each other kind of
yeah, we
deal.
all work
Yeah.
together. We all talk to each other. And so, and that's
It's a
also
cool
like,
miniature kind of family sort of deal, you know?
it is.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
good community.
Yeah. And everybody wants everybody to succeed. For like there's really no competition with spiders. I mean, the biggest thing with us is we're just trying to get the point past to people that like arachnids are not what you see in movies. Like, I
They're
always
not
tell people,
monsters.
yeah, I always tell people about like, Hollywood and how they've portrayed animals to be, and
Absolutely.
that's like the real stigma that like built for people to have fear with these animals is like movies like, I've explained before, like you're watching Spider-Man, the spider comes down and it bites you. It
Yes.
doesn't work like that. They think we're disgusting. They groom themselves after they touch our skin. Like, it's crazy.
It's so wild. And arachnophobia,
Mhm.
when that movie first came out, I remember so many people, even to this day, my partner gets nervous around some of the spiders, the tarantulas, because of that movie. And
Right.
all I can think is like, listen, these spiders are not. First off, they're too big to get inside your ear,
Yo,
but
yeah.
also I don't think that's going to be their first choice to run inside your ear to find coverage. It's just very unrealistic views
Oh,
of
yeah.
tarantulas and spiders. And it blows my mind because so many people actually do believe that like that's a reality to them,
Mhm.
that
It's a real
fear is
fear.
there. Yeah.
Mhm. And you
I
can't really
get it,
blame them for that, though,
They're
because like a
weird,
lot of
they're
that is
freaky.
like literally from them being like a child and their mom seeing a spider and then like screaming, and then like that forever is like their reaction.
That's that like
And
knee-jerk reaction.
right.
Yeah.
And then there's like, there's other people that I've literally talked to that, they didn't grow up like that, and they're like, how did people become like this? And I'm like, well, because
Like,
so and
well,
so decided to make it a really big deal at one point in front of their child, and
there's
you
some
know,
trauma there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
big
Well,
time.
when you're a kid, anything that freaks your mom out is bound to scare you.
Oh,
You're just a
100%. I mean, that's
child.
the person you trust and they're freaking out and you're like, that's danger.
Yeah, but it is crazy to see. And just like even being like a girl, just like that has tarantulas, like, it's hard to make other female friends that don't
It's very
see
hard.
tarantulas or even reptiles if they have like the huge ick for them. I mean, I really don't have any. I mean, I have like childhood friends I'm still friends with, but most of my friends are like people with arachnids and reptiles. You know.
That's very similar to my situation where I'm at.
Hmm.
Um, I tend to also be kind of engaged in the horror concert groups, but maybe not nearly as active. Um, but it's so hard to make friends outside of that arachnid group of people.
Yeah.
It's so difficult, and I think it is fear. I get it. Um, but I think there's also a level of judgment there of like you could have gotten a cat, you could have gotten a ferret. I've been told that.
Right.
That's kind of why I think that before. And I'm like, well,
No,
could have, but
that's a good way to think about it. I mean, when I was growing up, like I always had like cats and dogs, but the thought of like I really didn't. I mean, I remember being a kid going to the pet store and seeing them have the tarantulas for sale, but nothing in my mind ever thought that there would be people that had collections of them, that there was like
right.
this whole world of
It's
like
like a
people
wall of
that keep,
tarantulas.
yeah, the tarantulas, the different color tarantulas, the different species of tarantulas, all of like, the niche stuff that comes along with it is
All
it.
the anatomy stuff you learn and
Mhm.
the way they sense things, the way they act and like reasons they act like that. And that kind of takes the fear away. I feel like once you learn about that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
I mean,
can attest to
the toe
that.
bean sold it for me.
Yeah, right. I mean, I can attest to that because when I first told my mom that I bought tarantulas, I don't even think I told her. I just think I bought them, and then they arrived and I was like, hey, look at this. Because I was afraid of what she might think. And she was like, what? And like, over some time she'd go, okay, they're starting to grow on me. All the way up till now we have a favorite. We want to see pictures. Give me a photo album of the baby pictures.
They are her babies. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I love
She's
that.
grandma now. She's like, they're all my grandchildren. And
That's kind
she's
of cool
like,
though to even see like your mom as a woman who was scared
yeah,
of them, like fall in love with them slowly.
yeah, like she used to be terrified. I mean, terrified. And then like she came out and because we live in different states from each other, and I fed my tarantulas in front of her, and they did all like their booty dances.
Little
And she was
dances
like,
they do.
they're so cute.
And
I was
they
like,
really
no
are.
way.
Like, you just gotta
Dude,
watch them for a little bit and realize, like, actually, you're
they're
kind
not
of
that
cute.
bad. Yeah, they are cute. The thing with me and the tarantulas that gets me is like they're like two major eyes that sit like right on their their carapace.
Yeah.
And they're like very direct. They're like bigger. I feel like they're bigger than the other ones, but they just look so cute. They're just
They're,
eyes.
every
And
time
if
I
you
look, I'm
zoom
like,
in,
it's puppy dog eyes.
I know. They just look like cute little puppy dogs to me. And I'm like,
They
like
really do.
I'm
And
watching.
like my Texas tan, her eyes, just the way that they're set up, it looks like she's got this little forehead going on, you know? And I'm like,
Yeah,
girl, stop.
yeah.
You're adorable.
They all look different for sure. Like, my Phonopelma calcota, she has like this really big hump on her carapace, and then like my younger
Ooh.
ones don't, you know?
Yeah.
Like when I got her, I noticed that. I was like, wow. I mean, but like a lot of mine are babies still, so they're probably gonna get one eventually, like a forehead like you're talking about, you know? She looks
Right.
like she has a forehead and with her little eyes, and then she has eyebrows because she has like hairs in
Yes.
between. Yes.
I love that. It's like my curly hair though. They just that hair.
Oh, I love my curly hair. My curly
It's
hair
so
is
sweet.
actually nice. I got lucky.
See, mine's nice, but she definitely has a tendency to kick hair.
Oh, she used to. And she used to throat pose me and stuff.
Really?
This last molt, she's been nice, but before that, she was hair flicky.
That's
Leave
just
me
like in between
alone.
molts, you know, and you're just like waiting for the next one. Like you'll calm back down.
Yeah,
Make
or
it
you
quick.
might
Let's
go
go.
back to being a being a hair flicker.
That actually just happened with my a Phonopelma Ana. Is it Anax?
Mhm.
Texas tan?
Yes, I think so.
I'm bad at pronouncing those scientific
That
names.
should be right. A Phonopelma NX.
I think that's right. But Texas tan just molted, and girl, we're talking about spicy. She comes at me sideways now. I'm like, honey, I brought you home so sweet. You need to molt again.
I know. I have some spicy girls too.
I kind of love it though.
I
That
have to.
personality.
I have to like, not beat at them with a stick, but I have to be like, girl, back off.
You gotta kind of like
Yeah,
get
fight
in
them
there,
off. You gotta fight them off a little bit. Sometimes
You really
like
do.
you gotta assert the dominance.
Pretty much. And then they
Yes.
forget the next day anyway. I'm
Oh,
like,
well,
okay,
yeah,
let's
obviously.
do it again.
Luckily, my husky's the same way. Like we were talking about my husky before we started this, but she literally like every day that I wake up, she's a new dog. Like I've literally spent hours training her to heel, to sit at the door, to be a calm, patient dog. Nope. Every
Like, I'm
day
not gonna
she
do
just, let's go. I'm like,
The rebellious soul
eventually.
right there.
Oh, dude, she is a rebel. Like if you're like a new person and you're trying to walk her, she'll literally try to slip her collar on you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's that. She's
Too
a
smart
diva.
for her own good.
Yeah. And especially out here, I don't want her to get lost. We live in the mountains, and there's mountain lions that eat the dogs out here. They do.
Oh wow. Yeah. No.
There's no stray
They're-
dogs, no
they're
stray
gnarly.
cats.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep every animal inside. We have gators down here, so
Oh,
that's
dude,
always fun.
my mom lives in Florida, and she has gators too. And
Yup.
I'm like, I will take my mountain lions over the gators because like I have like that huge fear of like that water fear of like anything that I can't see like under the water. I'm
Same.
like, forget it. Like if I always say like if I fell in the middle of the ocean, I would literally pass out, die right there.
Dude,
Just
I
looking
would.
down.
I would have a
I'm
heart
like,
attack on spot. I'd be like, I'm done.
I'm just gonna drown.
Yeah.
Plug my nose.
Before something worse happens.
I know, like all I can think is like what's her name? Nessie coming up and just like eating me. Oh
I
my
love
god.
that.
But I do want to talk a little bit more about being a woman in a male dominant field.
Yes.
It's not too bad, I would say. Like we were talking about earlier, the men are really helpful, and like they're really cool people to talk to, because like I have a few
They are.
trans guy friends, and like they're just good people, and I really don't feel like it's like that big of an issue with like male versus female, because it's never felt like that. Like I always felt like, the guys have always been welcoming, like, oh, thank God, like these girls like these spiders and don't think we're entirely weird,
Yes.
and the crazy thing is too, is if you look at statistics, like there's a lot of women that are in like the arachnid hobby, and a lot of it is the jumping spider and like the velvet spider, but like that's still a lot more than like there was a long time ago,
Oh, it's still a significant impact for sure.
Yeah, and like I do want to say though, I do think that women keepers are a little bit more better at keeping tarantulas than the guys. Just because like we have like that nurture nature side already, like,
Yes.
and so like like they're like, this is my cool pet spider, showing their friends, and I'm like, this is my baby.
We're putting this like spin on it now, I think,
Yeah.
where we're seeing them as like cute little adorable things, we're like, oh, fluffy little spider. And guys are always seeing it as this kind of,
Yeah, let's
and
feed
I say
it, see
pardon
it,
my
eat
French, like
something.
really badass style spider, right? Um, and it's cute. I love it. I love seeing like that we're doing these weird things, like taking pictures of our spiders and putting fake bows on them.
Yeah, that's what I
It's
love.
so
It
cute.
literally just like, it just makes them like that less scary and more cute.
Right.
And which is like what we want, right? We don't want people to see them as like these big scary spiders. We want them to see them as like friendly. Not like friendly as in like, hey, this is Casper Ghost friend, but like, like they're
Like
animals to
you
be
would see him as a
respected.
chinchilla or something, or a hamster.
Right. Like, is that hamster gonna come at the glass and like try to attack you? Probably not. They're
No.
not going to either. Like, they don't even see you. You know?
That's the big thing. Like so many people think that they are being chased down, and I'm always saying
No.
it's just a light. It's just a
It's
shadow.
light, or
Like,
like the air that's
yeah,
like, because like a lot of the bites that have ever been documented are by drunk people. And
right.
that's like from like them like kicking dirt at tarantulas, and the tarantula reacts to like the dirt being flung at them. Like they,
Which,
you
let's get
know.
real, I'd probably react to.
Well,
That would
yeah.
really, it would scare me. And I feel like that's just a natural animal thing to do. But then they get this kind of view of like, oh, this tarantula came after me. I'm like, but you provoked it.
Right. Um, I didn't see. I had a train of thought there and I got lost. Oh, I was gonna say, like, like the tarantula wasps.
Yes.
Those things, if you see them, when you see them attack the tarantulas are so defenseless. It's sad, dude. Like
It makes me
literally,
want to cry.
dude. I know, because they have like all those 8 legs, and you think that they would be like,
Flailing, like the
right,
guy.
and like spin some webs, shoot some web balls or something. But like, no,
Turn
they're
into
just like,
actual like
huh?
Spider-Man spider.
They literally have no idea what's going on. All of a sudden, they're just flipped upside down. They can't move, and then all of a sudden, this wasp is like laying thousands of eggs and babies on it, and it's just slowly getting eaten alive.
And like, what a horrible death to go through,
Dude, I
you know?
know, and
It
like
would be
that's
so
why I always
bad.
say, like, they already have natural predators, and then we add like cars on top of it, destroying their habitat, and that's why like they have such a hard time in the wild. That's why we want
That's
to
such
keep
a
them.
huge thing too, though, is just the deforestation and the destruction of their natural habitat. We're going in, and on top of that, having such a misunderstanding of them. and that fear of wanting to eliminate them, you know? They
Right.
face so many dangers on a day-to-day basis for really such a delicate creature, you know?
Seriously, yeah. And especially for like, pest control, like their hugest target that they blame for like or use to promote their stuff is like spiders. Like I don't know, have you seen that commercial
Always.
where the husband and wife is in bed and all of a sudden like the spider's crawling up his neck to bite his ear? I'm like, dude, the spider would not even want to be anywhere near you. Like, please, like if you get a bite, the chance of it being a spider is like 0.01%. I swear to God.
Yes.
They would rather be in a corner somewhere far away from you, out of your sight.
They
I mean,
want
like,
that tallest corner of that wall up there. Like,
seriously. And, like, even in the wild, when you, like, especially the jumping spiders, when you run across them, dude, they do not want anything to do with you. They will run. They will run for their lives. They will jump. They will,
they back
they
up
will just.
so fast.
Seriously, like they just already know humans are no bad.
Right. They're like, we don't want to do this. We're not
They're
trying to
like,
die today.
they're like, Uncle Jerry got smacked last week by so and so. I swear to God, they gotta know by now. Like jumping spiders are so intelligent that like
For them to be able to have scientific studies where these spiders could potentially go into a REM form of sleep, like
seriously, and
that
dream
blows my mind. Yeah, and
that
dream.
and they can recognize us,
Oh yeah.
And
I don't
I'm
mind.
always,
I have one now. The other two got old. They had passed away. I still have my one. And she knows my voice. It's so incredibly
yeah.
smart of a spider. It blows my mind.
Yeah, I'm like I have a male Phidippus regius that I've had since last March. He's
Love
such
them
an
both.
old man right now, and like dude, I'm so surprised that he's still here. But I have him next to my little Phidippus adox female, which I feel like has been keeping him going because he's got like a little lady friend, and they're
He's like,
next
hey
to each
girl,
other. Yeah, he's always watching her,
hey,
and
how you doing?
yeah, like I put them next to each other because I had another male named Scooby, but he passed away. And so I was like, and like they would always look at each other and always like see each other. So I was like afraid that like he was gonna die of depression
Right.
almost. So I wanted to I put him next to like my other spiders that are like I have my Avic next to him, and my Phidippus dogs, another true spider. They just all are next to each other, all the true spiders, so they can see each other. But yeah, they're so cute. And I'm always like waving at them like this.
All the time. It's always
Like
a finger
before,
wave. I'm like, hi baby.
yeah, like before I even see them, they're already looking at me.
Dude, half the time she's just staring me down. I'm like, what are you doing?
I know mine is usually asking for food.
Oh, 100%.
She's a
Every time.
glutton for food. She's like,
And then I get it in there and she's just staring at it for like 30 minutes before she decides. She's like, yeah, I think I'll actually take this. Like,
oh,
okay.
mine's a hunter. Mine's a predator. She'll just.
Oh, she's in for it.
Oh yeah,
Vicious.
I have a little video of feeding her on my hand on my Instagram.
Oh, was that her? I think I saw that.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's good. She's good.
Cute as
I
a
was
button,
like,
though.
huh?
She's cute as a button, though.
Oh yeah, she's a cutie. I would get her out, but she just would run.
Dude, that's all of these guys. They'd be out of here so fast. Like, we're out. Bye.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have cats. Like, get back here.
I know. I always feel like tarantulas are more like cats than any other animal.
They really are.
You
I've
know,
seen that a couple times, like how tarantulas are the cats of the whole arachnid world, you know?
yeah, for real. And like, yeah, because they're definitely not like dogs. They don't have that much energy.
Oh no, they're lazy.
So did you want to talk a little bit about the Old World Tarantulas?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So, as you guys know, Old World Tarantulas get a bad rep for their defensive behavior, which is literally just the fact of them protecting themselves. They see you as a threat. They don't really know that you're just there to feed them. And I think like a lot of that comes with like the fact that like people own other animals too, and they expect a tarantula to react the same way. And I can kind of relate to that because like when I first got my tarantulas, right, I thought that they were gonna have to eat like every day like a dog or a cat or my geckos, you know?
Right.
But no, and they don't. They're totally different. And it's just, I feel like a lot of it is just like getting used to the different behaviors of tarantulas because, you know, there's only like so many of us like making content and putting it out there for the whole world to see, tarantulas specifically. And then you have people that are just doing nothing but showing their tarantulas threat posing, stomping, stridulating fangs, venom, the whole thing, and like you have that to compete with. But
Absolutely.
you know, because that's always going to get the bigger audience, the bigger reaction from people is when the spider is up big like that.
It's a shock factor that they're looking for.
Right, the big wow, you know,
Exactly.
wow,
It's
this
just
big
like, oh my
spider, it's
gosh.
crazy. But they're really not built like that. If you set them up correctly, you know, depending if it's a fossorial, terrestrial, or arboreal species, you know, they're fine. You know, like I've never had a problem with my pokies, my Poecilotheria regalis tarantulas, my old world species, the most highly venomous tarantula, if you guys don't know. And yeah, what do you have to say about it, Megan?
I completely agree with that. I think that because of their behavior, right, and just the way that old world tarantulas are,
Mhm.
you're kind of in more of a predictable situation, right? So you kind of know what you're getting. You know they're more likely to throw up a threat pose. You know they're more likely to be defensive with you. So when you go in to do maintenance or you go in to do anything, pull a molt out, whatever it is, um, sorry, that threw me off when I saw
It's
that.
okay.
Where's that? Oh, whatever it is, maintenance, you know what to expect. And I think that kind of keeps you on guard in the sense that you can respect it. And like you said, having a setup, that is the most important thing I think I ever think about when it comes to bringing home a new tarantula is making sure that I have a setup that's ready to go and making sure that it is absolutely up to par with that species. And I
Hmm.
find that when you do that, they're so comfortable,
Yeah.
that they don't feel the need to throw up a defense. And I was listening to the Tarantula Collective podcast with Rich.
Hmm.
Not with him, but like, you know what I mean. And it was something about tarantulas and are they smarter than what we give them credit for?
Right. I
To
heard that
some,
one.
yeah, I think to some extent, I do think they are a little bit smarter, and
Hmm.
especially when it comes to old worlds, they've been around for so long, and we've known about them for so long. There is something about them where I think, they can affiliate you with positive things, maybe. Even if they don't remember you or recognize you, like they know you're getting food when you open the enclosure.
Right. Right. Like I recently just had an encounter with my OBT because I took her out so I could get some ventral pictures and videos of her abdomen to sex her. She's still a little too small, so I don't have any gender reveals for you guys today.
Reminds that, yeah.
But you know, I got her out of the enclosure. She was fine. She didn't, you know, threat pose me, nothing big deal. I couldn't get her out of the cup that I had her in, which, I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and fight with her. I didn't really want to have to pull her out anyways, you know, but then, you know, she was resting there in the cup for like a good 2 or 3 minutes and without like, you know, any movement or anything. And then I just, you know, put my paintbrush in there to touch her.
Yeah. Yeah.
She just stood there threat posing me,
She
fangs
came in
stridulating.
swinging.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, she's not mad. I just surprised her. And that's just
Right.
something like you really have to like be around tarantulas enough to know, like, you know, get to give them that space so that you're not ripping the webs off their the tops of their enclosure, or you're seriously disturbing them, accidentally scaring them. Because that's like the only reason why they're gonna throw up as a threat posture is if they really are in fear of their life. Like, you know, even when they're going up against those tarantula wasps, they can't see, they don't know where to go, but all they can go off of is like the movement of the air, you know, their hairs, and I'm looking at my tarantula trying to describe her, but
Right.
you know,
But they have
it's
limited sensories, you know,
yes, they
or
do.
sensories, sensories, sensories.
And I do believe they can get used to like your footsteps and your vibrations for sure. But
Absolutely.
I do believe like no matter how much you're around them, they will every day you should always like be ready.
Right.
You know?
That was a huge thing too, that like anyone who's looking into getting an old world species of tarantula, number one, it's always a matter of regardless of how beautiful that species is, because like, girl, you know,
The
they
old
are
world. Yeah.
beautiful. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But they are something that needs to be handled with respect and caution, and you have to reach a level of comfortability first before you jump into old world tarantulas.
Hmm.
So, you know, let's say someone wants to get an orange baboon, OBT, I'd say get a Venezuelan sun tiger, right? Because
Right.
then it's like new world, but you're kind of easing yourself into it.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's just a really big thing, is being confident enough in yourself to know that, like, okay, I'm ready for an old world, and then doing as much research as you possibly can to make sure that you know, this 100%, that's what you want to get into, you know?
Right. You're ready. You know what to expect. Yeah, because like OBTs, I mean, even as a beginner, they're really hard to rehouse. You know,
Right.
so I would definitely be like, pick a Venezuelan sun tiger over an OBT if, you want something that is a little bit more wild per se, but beautiful. And
Right.
because like I love my Venezuelan sun tiger. I'm so happy you mentioned that because I love mine.
They're
I have
gorgeous.
recommended her as a beginner and I kind of regret it, but at the same time, if you are looking for a spicier tarantula that is a New World species, is beginner friendly. I mean, she isn't really that hard to rehouse. I mean, she's probably one of the easier ones to rehouse, but when I water her, man, she comes out. And I know she's going to, but I scream every time.
Right.
And that's what I hate about people hating on. That's one pet peeve I have, though, is about people hating on girls that scream while they're interacting with their tarantulas. Like, God forbid I freak out and have a little bit of anxiety of this giant 8-legged horror hamster. Please, like, can a girl just like be a girl? Like, we're gonna do that. Like, sorry,
I am
yeah, it freaks
so
them out
glad.
too.
Yes, ma'am. I'm so glad you brought that up, because as you're saying it, I'm going, I was about to say that. Like,
Seriously,
it's a venomous species of spider, and
dude,
it
they're
can cause
huge.
really massively painful side effects. That's not to say that they're not amazing and should be respected, but like,
That's the
sure, I'm
key
going to
word.
scream.
That's the key word. They are an animal to be respected. They are
Right.
like, they are to be looked at like goldfish, not something you want to be messing with all the time. Something that, it's not going to be like your pet reptile, you know?
Right. Exactly. It's more, I always call it as like a visual art or living art, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you're still taking care of it, obviously, but
Right.
I very rarely interact with my reptile, or sorry, my arachnids.
Right.
I'm always
Unless
talking to the reptiles. Forget that. No.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm always talking about reptiles, but I'm not really talking to the tarantulas. I
No,
mean,
they can hang out. I'll see them when I see them, and as long as they're
hmm
happy, it's such a passion, you know.
right. I
And
do.
that's where the heart comes in.
What's that?
And that's just where the heart of the hobby comes in, you know, just having that
Hmm.
passion there and
Yeah,
understanding them.
yeah. You really have to have a passion to keep tarantulas. Like, you really have to like love them to keep them, and that's why I always say and with like the old world species too. If you start with a smaller sling, that threat pose is going to be less defensive, which is why I always tell people start with a baby. They're way less
Absolutely.
scarier. You can grow with them. I did that with my OBT. I mean, most of my tarantulas I got as babies, so I could grow with them because I was so scared of my tarantulas. I literally used to
That's what
shake.
I did. Yeah.
Like, I would open the lid like this.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Like, what
I
are you
remember
gonna
that. I used to do
do?
that. I'd be
Is it
like,
gonna run out?
real slow. And I mean, it's just sitting there doing nothing. And I'm like
Right.
shaking, you know.
Yeah. You don't know what they're gonna do, and like until you've had them for like 6 months at least,
You got to
then
hit that learning curve first, you know.
They're for real.
Yeah.
And it's like riding a bike. There's many ways to do it, but you got to figure out the way that works for you because like excuse me, having that huge tarantula just threat pose you is like
It's intimidating.
scary. You're fine, Chris, by the way. If you guys see the backgrounds going changing, just don't mind it.
It's all
But
good.
could you imagine, like, you know, you're a first time tarantula owner and you get like this giant tarantula that's literally slapping at you. You don't know any better. You're gonna call it aggressive. You're gonna think it's out to get you. You're gonna think it's gonna try to eat you. But in reality, it wants you to leave it alone. But
Right.
that doesn't translate to people language really well, the way that spiders behave, you know?
Absolutely. That kind of like, and two, with OBTs specifically, because I feel like when it comes to old world tarantulas, immediately the majority of people go OBT, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm thinking, all right, it's a beautiful spider, it's bright orange. Like, what's not appealing about it, right? So I
Right.
think a lot of first time keepers or people getting into it are looking for that beauty in that tarantula
Hmm.
and they don't know any better. And like you just said, then all of a sudden they're getting like slaps or threat poses or whatever. And they're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, my spider's evil. It's aggressive. It hates me, you know? And then
Exactly.
they get this orange bitey thing. And, you know, I think it's a cute name, but totally undeserved. You know,
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of them have been provoked if they were bitten, they were provoked.
Seriously, the only time I've ever seen anybody getting bit by an OBT is the wilderness guys that go out there and they like intentionally get bit by
Yes.
arachnids and other animals get stung. Um, I don't
I
really love
gotta ask
that.
you, actually. I gotta ask you, how do
Hmm.
you feel about those videos? Like, I'm just curious.
I really don't love
Okay,
them
cool. Me either. I was curious. I was like,
because
this is really kind
especially
of.
especially when they used the Aphonopelma calcodes for a bite
Oh,
video. I really
yes.
hated that because they're literally like tapping the poor thing on its face.
It was so
And
strange.
yeah, I was just like, dude, it doesn't want to bite you. Like,
And
and
that's
with
the
the,
crazy thing is like what people should look at is
right,
how much they had to actually push that spider to the edge for it to even bite, but they
right.
just see the bite, you know?
Right, right. And with the OBT was not reluctant to bite. That thing bit them like right away.
Oh, yeah.
But like that there is just like, you know, it's just also not making tarantulas look good. You know, it's not
Right.
making them look good. I don't care if you're proving a point that you're not going to die from the bite. I mean, you can tell people they're not going to die from the bite rather than putting that animal through stress. I'm going to bring something up.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Do
a
it.
it's about the guy that was juggling those ball pythons at
Let's talk
the
about it.
show.
Yeah.
And I, I was the one that was part of circulating that video because I just didn't think it was right. And I also read the guy's response to it, and I understand that the little girl got bit by another python at a different booth. But to show a little person, that's what I call little kids, a little
That's what I call little
person
people, little
that
tiny babies.
you get bit by an animal, so you're going to mistreat it instead by, putting it in danger. I mean, you could have grabbed tennis balls and started juggling them.
Right.
Why did you have
Anything.
to pick up snakes and start throwing them around like that? It made me so mad because
You
all
know,
I can think,
the first thing I thought of when I saw that was, do you know those slingshot rides at carnivals?
yes,
Okay, so I've never been on one because if I was meant to be in the air, I would have wings. That's just, I don't like it. Um, but I'm thinking, okay, imagine if I was just dragged, pulled away from my comfort zone, right? Thrown into one of those slingshot things, completely unaware of what it was or what was happening, and then I'm shot up in the air. That's how those snakes felt, I imagine, you
right, and
know?
it could have. I mean, those snakes could have bit him for that. I mean, they're snakes. They're
100%.
long. Yeah, I just don't even understand like why you would even think to use them as tennis balls. It like almost makes me want to cry. Like because all
Well,
I can
I
think.
definitely cried watching it,
Yeah,
for
because like
sure.
all I can think is like my snake, my high me being thrown in the air. He's already shy as it is. Like no, and like
Yeah.
their bodies are not made like if one of those snakes took a fall from the height that he was throwing them at, and they went right onto the floor, who knows if that animal would have had brain damage, brain bleeding. I mean, who knows? And then you're setting a bad example for that child. Let's just start throwing animals in the air instead of explaining to the child the snake did not mean to aggressively bite you. Explain it in a real manner that this child is going to turn the fear into something that she learned, not something that she got scared, and then now we're going to entertain this child with bad behavior.
Right. Because then you're
that's
just
just not
teaching
what
that younger generation to disrespect these animals.
exactly. And there's already enough kids that go out in the freaking woods as it is and torture deer and all sorts of crazy nonsense because adults showed them that was okay. And it's just like, I really don't respect that person even after they apologize. It's like, really take credibility of what you did, stop acting like it didn't happen. And
I'm sorry,
man,
I have to jump in on this because I've seen this a lot too.
Okay.
And what you're saying is true. Like, there's other videos that it used to escalate where women were wearing snakes as necklace or putting snakes in their mouth. I mean, it's just a lot of people doing dumb stuff just to get clout. That's all it is.
Right.
I have seen that too. A lot of the way to put it would be over sexualization of a snake just for, like you said, clout. And there are some ways I think to do it really gorgeous and classy and keep the snake safe. But I've seen a lot of people do it in just a way where I'm like, that snake is not comfortable in that position.
Right. Like, don't put the animals at risk for what Chris is saying, for clout, because at the end of the day, like, you're going to be the one that is the clown, because those animals, we know better. Like, they don't deserve to be put in those situations whatsoever. Like, we already have them in captivity as we do. Let's show them some respect. And, to the people around us, and nobody's going to take us seriously if we're out here abusing our animals and stuff like that. It's just not okay.
Right. And that's, kind of leads into the idea that I've always seen exotic animals, regardless of if it's a tarantula, a snake, a gecko, they're always the first ones to end up getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Every time, because proper research isn't done, or
they can't speak
they want
up.
their 5-year-old to get a corn snake, and I'm like, I know they say it's easy, but there's so much more that goes into it,
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot more with these animals that, like, because I have a big pet peeve too, is I see parents bringing their kids that have neither the parent or child have any knowledge of the animal that they're looking for as a pet. They don't prepare. They're literally looking around to see what's most appealing to them.
They're looking for that pretty color,
or just whatever they're there for, honestly, because I don't get it.
I'm gonna say one more thing, then I'm gonna get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jen, Megan, y'all are doing awesome. Y'all are kicking ass. Y'all are sharing some badass knowledge. Y'all keep rocking. Jen, keep doing your thing. I'll be backstage. I'll see y'all later.
All right, bye, Chris. But yeah, that just we gotta do better for the animals, and like, that's why, like, on my page, like, when I post pictures of my animals, I do it in the most appropriate way I possibly can. Just my head, my face, my neck. It's nothing sexual. I'm not trying to sexualize my animals. And nothing against anybody that does take like really nice bougie pictures with their animals. Like, that's your own thing. But like,
and I'm fine. I mean, if I'm being honest, like, I've seen girls post things where it's like, how do you say it? It's like the classy, sexy pictures,
like boudoir or boudoir,
or whatever that word is. Have their snakes, they're like tarantulas, and the photos, like, being a woman, to see another woman do that and just be so beautiful, and to represent that reptile in a gorgeous way. I love that. But then there is that fine line, where you start to do it and it's like, are you doing this for the animal, or are you doing this for yourself,
Well, right. But I think that fine line is like, is that animal being put at risk for those photo shoots? Probably not. Like, I can see, like, just like the tarantula, like, literally being set on somebody and then they're just photographing, put it away. Same thing with the snake. You know, they're not putting it, as long as they're not endangering the animal, making misconceptions of people in the reptile hobby, sexualizing animals, as long as they're not doing that stuff, you know,
Right.
I totally, good for you. You know, that's
Well,
cool.
and by sexualizing animals, I think that one's hard because a lot of people kind of, it can be taken multiple ways, you know, but I think like by sexualizing animals, we're talking about.
Oh, Megan, your microphone is muted. Oh, there you go.
But died. You're fine. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So when we talk about like sexual, it's more of when you're putting that snake like in your mouth, like Chris was saying, or if you're, you know, doing biting or something stupid. You
Yeah.
know, if you're putting that animal in a position where they're going to feel pain or they're going to feel overly stressed, that's where it's wrong.
Yeah, people really got to stop putting tarantulas in their mouths. Stop it. Stop
That's
it.
what I'm saying.
I just seen this guy put an HMAC in his mouth, and I'm like,
Are you
there's so much
serious?
that could just, yeah, an HMAC. And I'm like, there's so much that could go wrong.
I
Like,
can see that going so many bad ways.
dude, I'm like, all I can see is the tarantula just like running down this guy's throat into his belly and like, or it bites him from like the inside. And then all of a sudden, what if it turns down and stuff? I don't know.
Talk
Something
about a horror
crazy.
movie, right? Like,
Yeah, and then you know, like that guy goes to the hospital, and then big news. So all of a
and the
sudden,
rumors start.
the rumors start, and then all the
we have
tarantulas start dying.
stomach-burrowing tarantulas now. Like, no, we don't.
No, it's just that people are doing inappropriate stuff with animals.
Right,
You know?
exactly.
But
I think too, like going back to Old World Tarantulas, one species that I really love. I love that you use scientific names, by the way. Like, I applaud you so much because
No,
I
thank you.
suck at those names.
they're real tongue twister.
Is it a horned baboon tarantula?
Orange baboon?
No, the horned.
Oh, the horned. Yeah, horned. Yeah, there's different kinds of horned baboon tarantulas. Yes.
I'm thinking. I'm gonna look it up right now.
The Ceratogyrus.
Yes, I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have heard a lot of positive things as far as people who have kept them in being like, if someone is looking for an old world tarantula and like they don't want to bend, you know, they're adamant, I don't want a new world. I've heard that species is a fairly decent species to keep as a, you know, if you're really adamant for a first time starter, old world.
Yes, but they are fast.
They're so fast.
Just be warned, they're so freaking fast.
They're so fast. Like, we're talking teleportation speeds here.
Yeah, like when I used to get so nervous rehousing that one, to be honest, because, and I have him. He's a mature male, and I mean he's really a drama king. I mean,
is he really?
Yeah, you spray water in there, he's
oh no,
like, dude, calm down. His enclosure is huge for him. I could like even downgrade him, but yeah, like I just remember as like a sling, I almost squished him because I was rehousing and he was inside the enclosure. I got him inside the enclosure, and then I went to like shut it or like something. I went to go to shut it, but he was like right in between like the lid and the thing, but it's magnet. But luckily I was just holding it open. But dude, it was a close call. I almost squished that one that day.
That's the thing though. Like,
but that's why I say let them run. Now it's just like let them run. If they're gonna run, be in somewhere that they could just run.
And they'll stop eventually.
They will.
They'll just be real fast, and you'll have to do a hunting session.
Yeah. I've had that one like go running and then like crawl up a bag and then just sit there.
Yes.
They're pretty
That's
wild,
the thing with old worlds though, is like
they're fast.
They're so fast, and that's a thing that gets underestimated. I think that's shocking too.
True,
like,
it is.
Even if they're not defensive, you see it because now you don't.
Right, because like if you've never heard a tarantula run, y'all.
Yes.
It is the creepiest thing in the world.
It is wild.
Oh,
it's happies, you know?
You're like, oh my god, it sends shivers up my spine when I hear it.
I do. I get chills over it. I'm like,
yeah, I'm like,
fast spider.
What are you doing?
My god.
Like I don't know. Oh no, I was gonna say like my male pokey just took off on me like a little while ago, but he stopped. He just like kind of like went in between like underneath this table right behind me, in between those jugs, on against the wall, and I was like able to cup him. But man, he went running. He looked so funny when he was running though.
Some of them look goofy when they run.
I'm
not even gonna lie. I'm like, what are you doing?
They're just dragging ass.
They really are. And I had, so like my Texas tan just molted recently, and a couple days after the molt, I'm like, oh, you poor like pathetic little blob.
I know.
Like you're just dragging, man.
I know. I've had like a ton over like the last week. I had a ton of tarantulas molt. I had my grandma's little poker piece molt, my blue fang molt, my Exinthus intermedia, and my Telecotl Callenbergi, so my Amazon blue bloom, and my Veracruz red rump. And with, oh my gosh, my Veracruz red rump, she's still spicy, man. I went in there to like, number one, she molted upright. I was impressed.
Really?
And I don't know about you, but I can never look at my tarantulas while they're molting because they creep me out.
It creeps me out.
I'm like, girl.
There's just something I'm like,
I don't even know where your face is right now.
Right? It's cringy almost in a way.
I'm like, I would rather be tripping right now than me looking at you.
That's what I'm saying.
It feels like I'm tripping when I'm looking at them.
And what I really hate is when they're done, but they decide like, I'm going to sit on top of this. Because then I'm like, are you dead? Are you alive? Are you like, what's like, going on?
Who?
I don't want to touch you, but.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, no. What did Ashley just say? Oh. I didn't see it. Oh, LMAO, not me going back and second guessing my post. Oh no, Ashley, we're not talking about you. Ashley, I love your pictures with your snakes. So please continue. But yeah, dude, tarantulas are weird. And every day that I keep them, I learn something more about them that I didn't realize, like that I like didn't notice or didn't know about them. Like there are like seriously some individuals, you know, like they're all different. Everybody is not the same. I mean, even if like they're the same species, they're not the same.
Right. Their personalities vary. I mean, even I've seen curly hairs that are so sweet, and I've seen some that'll throw up a threat pose like that, you know?
Right. Yeah. Real. Yeah. But for the most part, have you ever been bit?
I've never been bit.
Me neither.
Yet.
Me neither. I don't want to.
Knock on wood. You know?
I'll be out the window before I get bit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not doing it. Not doing it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's just a matter of I try to avoid getting bit because I'm aware of where my tarantula is when I'm opening the enclosure. Yeah. You know? I try to look at that, and like if I see that they're feeling spicy, I'll just like back off and leave them alone, you know? Mm-hmm. But I never get too comfortable. Even there's some that I've had for multiple years, and I'm like, I'm still not comfortable with you just because I know that you're a tarantula, so you're unpredictable regardless.
Right. Yeah. There's always a chance something is gonna happen. Like my grandma's still a poker piece. Like she's always been like, you know, sassy in her own way. Like she used to, even as a sling, she would slap at the tongues when I'd go to tongue feed her, because she'd be like, "Get out of my face," you know. And
move.
But like one day, I literally had her she crawled out of my hand, and I was able to hold her, and that was fun. But the next time I went to go hold her, right, I noticed this. Like, I took too long to get her out, and so, like, she had already tried to climb out multiple times, and by the time I went to go get her, she started lifting her abdomen up. Leave me alone. I said, okay.
That's when you know.
Yeah, like, so if your tarantulas stick in their abdomen straight up in the air, they mean business.
Yep.
Leave them alone. That's a good way to tell if a New World tarantula is, like, mad.
It is. Yeah.
They will definitely, I mean, Old Worlds do it too, but an Old World's going to throw up a threat pose before they're going to throw up their bum or their
Right.
abdomen. It's their bum, but it's their body, and
I call it a little booty.
I call it their bum.
They get that little juicy booty.
Juicy. Oh, that's like my favorite thing about tarantulas is they have that big old juicy thing.
They really do. They got like a dump truck going on, and it's adorable.
Oh my gosh, I know. And then when they start throwing it back, when they start dancing, I'm like,
That's
yes,
the
girl,
best.
give me some dollar bills.
Like, you got this. Go, baby.
I know. I'm like, we should get some club lights on in here and start like a little Instagram where we
Right,
have some
exactly.
different tarantulas.
Tarantula Club.
They're just standing there with the oons, 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 oons.
You see lights going off, and they're just, what's going on?
But we couldn't even do that though. You know, we couldn't even have like a whole group of tarantulas in the same area because they'd probably eat each other or get stressed out. So don't
Oh god, it would
do
be
that.
a whole can of worms.
Yeah, don't do that. I hate that
No.
though. That's another thing I really don't like is like when people like have like 6 different species of tarantulas like all on their arm or like really in like the same area where they could like break out into a fight or something.
Yeah.
You know, something bad's gonna happen. I'm like, why would you do that? Like in the
I've
first
always
place,
wondered
like
that.
tarantulas are so expensive. Why would you even want to do that? I mean,
Right.
why would you even want to risk it?
That's what
Not
I'm
worth the
saying. Like,
visit.
especially too, like you get some of these really desirable ones. And I've noticed like rose hairs, anyone in that, yeah,
Those.
Yeah.
I love those. Oh.
they're some
I
of
don't
my
even have one
favorites.
yet because they're so expensive.
Same.
Mhm.
I can't. They're just so expensive now. And I noticed like years ago, they were not nearly that expensive.
No,
You
no,
know, and I think it's just demand now at this point.
Seriously, it is like when tarantulas are really high priced in the hobby. It's due to the fact that like there's a really small number of them, and so like, you know, people are gonna be like pay up, you know, until there isn't, and then there's just like a bunch.
Oh, absolutely.
So
That was even the case when I love Brachypelma species. They are just like, they have a special place in my heart. And I had been looking for Brachypelma hamori for a hot minute, right? And
Mhm.
they were all being priced at like $200 plus, and I'm like, I can't do it, you know. But finally, we actually went to Repticon this past February,
Mhm.
and I found one for $55, reputable dealer, like great thing, and little sling, and I brought him home. So happy,
That's
so
awesome.
happy. But they really were in high demand for a minute. I could not find them anywhere.
Yeah, I love going to Fangs TV. Tom
Yes.
Saxon, he always has his tarantulas for the best prices. I'm sorry to any vendors that are watching, but Tom Saxon has the best prices just
He
because
does.
he has a ton of stock and he always has really good stock. I mean,
He's
like,
got great variety.
oh yes, and he always has like dude, he will literally have subadult males and subadult females for like $60, and then like the male's half the price of that.
Right?
And it's like, where are you gonna find that deal? You're not.
You don't. You don't.
No, but I wish to be on that level of breeding one day. It's just like I have so many that it's just like I have a good variety, and like I love like all the species that I have now, and that's like the species I'm going to breed if I make it big with the breeding. But we're only on the first egg sac, so I gotta feel it out before I go like big. But I
was
really
gonna say you just had babies though.
Yep.
Yep.
Show you guys on live stream.
Ah!
My egg sac. I'll take the lid off so you guys can see. But they're doing really good. I've been watching them. All of them have legs now. All of the babies have legs. Kind of show you guys like this. Here's the egg sac. As you guys can see, it's sphagnum moss. It's a 4-ounce deli cup, and I have my egg sac on a 2-ounce deli cup, and it's like perfect size. And the babies are in here. I don't know if I can show you the best. Just give me a second. Hold on. It's like Santa Claus's bag of gifts. Hold on. Just want to be careful.
they're so delicate too.
Oh, so delicate. My mama did a really good job, though. I don't know how well you guys can see them in there. But that's the egg sac. And it's still going to be quite a few weeks before I can even sell the babies. I mean, they're going to be in this egg sac for a few more weeks. I know that, until they emerge. And then when they emerge and they start building their own webs, that's when you cup them and you put them in their own enclosures, because then like the cannibalism and stuff starts. But
Right.
I do want to hold on to them for a little while just to make sure, because like in every egg sac, you guys, when tarantulas have babies, there's always going to be the ones that were born that are not going to make it. You know, that's just nature. That's why they have hundreds of babies at once. So it's I'm going to hold on to them for a little bit just to make sure any of them that are predestined to go, then they'll go. And I just don't want to be sending anybody a baby that's really small and then it, you know, dies or something like that. God forbid, you know.
That's
So
honestly though, I really respect that, because
I would rather just have these
Yeah.
babies until they're like a good size, and then you know. But they're doing really good. They're sitting at about 80 degrees on average. And this is what the little incubator looks like, and they just go up on that top shelf right up here. And Mama's over here. Mama's been a little sad about her egg sac, but
oh,
I feel bad. Honestly, it kind of made me sad for a few days after I pulled it, because she's
Oh,
just
no.
like, she was hanging out by the top. But I fed her like multiple times, so now I think she's forgotten about it, because she's just kind of doing her own thing again. But
kind of getting back to normal.
yeah, but
Good.
you could definitely tell she was sad about it.
And you know, it's a wild thing about tarantulas and even scorpions. Like
Mhm.
they're actually really good moms.
Oh, such good moms.
Such good moms. Like they
Such
don't
a
get
good
credit
mom.
for that.
Yeah, they do. This girl, like, the reason why I ended up pulling it like a few days early is because it literally looked like to me like she was like, lady, I'm so tired of these kids. Please come get them.
Remove
like, I
them.
just want to go sit, do nothing.
She needed a break.
Dude, seriously, because like, you know, she was in the hole, and then she would like every day, she'd roll the egg sac up onto the ledge, and like, you know, her enclosure is kind of in the window, so but it's not directly, so nobody get upset. But
Right.
she would, like, you know, bring them out. She would rotate them. She would move them about, you know, make sure that they're going to different temperatures, which is something that we can't mimic. So that's why I ended up leaving the egg sac with her, and because my friend said to leave it. Some tarantulas will eat the egg sac, and I guess like you would pull it then, but even then, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm so
Right.
confused on like why some people pull the egg sacs and like why they don't. But
I
yeah,
wonder if it's just like personal preference.
I think it's personal preference. But the mamas do a really good job. So I mean, because like now, like that they're in the incubator, I can't like roll them around. I do go in there each and every day. I you know, I obviously check on them, see how they're doing, making sure like they're shiny, but they're not dry, but they're not too
Right.
either. Which couldn't happen because like that cup has more than enough ventilation for them. But I did notice like for a minute they were getting a little dry, so I did have to bump up the moisture, put that extra cloth on top, and to help keep the humidity in. But I pick up the sack and I'll just like move it around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I'll
Yeah.
just like activate the babies. You know, let them know like they're
Like a
still in
little
the
bit of
real world.
stimulation, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then like once a day, I just open up the lid and I let all the fresh air in there and stuff. So it's a process. I couldn't imagine, you know, the people that have like 30 egg sacs at once. That's a lot of work. Like,
That's what I was thinking, is like,
it's
what do you
definitely
do
a
with
team
that?
effort. You know,
Yeah.
like well, since I don't have like, you know, a normal day job, it's easy for me to sit here and be a caretaker of the eggs, you know, and to, you know, keep an eye on them, keep up with them and stuff like that. But man, I can imagine if, like, you know, you're trying to work a side job, like, you know, a job, and you're trying to start
Right.
a tarantula breeding business, like that must have taken years, you
Oh,
know?
years and so much time.
Yeah, for real.
Because plus,
Yeah,
too,
my
I
own.
mean, that's hard being in that industry. I think, like, as a breeder, it has to be because
Oh yeah, it's
demand,
not
you know?
it's not easy,
No,
you
not
know,
at all.
because a lot of the things that we have to deal with is like, number one, tarantulas are really expensive to begin with.
Right.
You know, the pairing and breeding of tarantula, it's such a thing. Like, it's not like you can just get a male tarantula and a female tarantula of the same species, put them together, and they're just gonna do it. And even
Right.
then, like, you have like the chance of like the female eating the male. The male never inserted his thing, so then like there was no insemination, then he gets eaten, then you have to order a whole new male, wait for that male to get there, and then, you know, like there's just
It's a
so
whole
much.
process to it.
Right, or like, you know, I
Yeah.
paired my pokies, I'm pretty sure they paired, and then my female molted, so now I gotta pair them again, which
Oh,
is fine.
no.
I now have like, I moved Diamond out of her 10-gallon, and I'm using that now just for like my pokies to breed, because I don't really have any other use for it. It was just so big for her. It was really unnecessary, but it made me feel comfortable to experience being able to Shark Tank my male in there with her,
Yeah.
and to be able to like let them interact in that way before I just, like, you know, put them together. Because when I put them together, I was terrified. You know, my male wasn't tapping. He literally walked right into her lair, and I'm like, dude, that's not what you do. And I'm standing
What are you
guard.
thinking?
Yeah, and I stood guard with my paintbrush. I was so ready to take a bite for him. I was
Oh
so
my
ready to
God.
take a bite. She threat posed him. He's like, I think I'm gonna leave.
Oh, he's a timid little man.
Oh, dude, no. He's actually kind of a SOB because,
Is he really?
yeah, because I put them, like, the first time I put them together for 2 weeks. I cohab them. This is a species that does well like that,
Right.
for breeding purposes, and because like their breeding ritual is very long-winded. It lasts for hours. Like, they can literally be tapping at each other for hours and not do nothing. So that's why I did that. But I lost train of thought. What were we talking about?
Breeding them. And how he
Yeah.
is not as timid.
Oh, yes. So at
Yeah.
the end of the 2 weeks, he kicks her out of her house. And I was like, dude, why would you do that? Like, she literally was like out of her house on the wall, scrunched up, abused. And I was like, excuse me, little F-boy. Like, what are you thinking?
No, he didn't.
Yes, girl. And then like the next time,
Dump them. No.
I know. And then like the next time I paired them, like that night, he kicked her out of the house. And I was just like, something just ain't right with you two. And then
How do you all come into her room and take her house?
I know, and like
Sir?
she didn't even fight back. I'm like, girl, fight
Yeah,
him.
no, you gotta be tough. You gotta be tough. Get back in there.
And she actually really does not. She didn't mind him at the
Yeah.
time because like she was so well. Like, I had her so plumped up because I fed her so much before I even like put them together. But she, like, because like he literally walked across her front legs and she did not care. She did not give two craps. She's like, oh, bye. Yeah, leave.
That's funny.
Yeah, she does not care. She's a really good spider, Diamond, my adult female pokey. I got her from Dritz Erden, and I swear to God, it really depends on who you get your spiders from.
It really does.
She's so nice, and like,
yes.
I don't tongue feed my male pokey ever, but I can tongue feed her, and she doesn't like overreact. She literally takes it straight from the tongues. I'm like, you've been tongue fed your whole life.
Yo,
You know?
that's a good spider right there.
Seriously, because like the first time I tried to feed her, I like, you know, I closed my eyes and I like
Right. You're doing the
held it there
What's
against
that?
the wall, so I wouldn't accidentally like fling the tongs. But I was just like, please take it nice.
Like, just grab it real quick, make it easy.
Yeah, please don't hurt me. Just take it and go.
And then
Take
it was
it
like
go.
way not as worse as you thought it would be, or way not as bad as you thought it would be.
It was no. And then like I was like going back in there with some more. Here you go, here's some more. And she was
Like,
like
have another.
and then she was like, oh, you touched me. I'm gonna go hide in my hole now and not come out for a while.
I love that she ran though. You know,
She
like
did,
the
yeah.
first instinct was to run.
She's never slapped at me.
That's a good girl.
She is a good Spider-Man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And the cool thing is though, is like Dritz raised her whole life. And he has like her mom still.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like this is one of the spiders he grew out for like years.
Wow.
From one of his own like egg sacs. And I was like, seriously? Like I was like, I feel so honored to have this spider.
Literally, like I'm not worthy, you know.
I know, I'm like, I'm not worthy. She's such a good spider, man. I love her. She's been coming out more because she's finally drying up from her molt. Because she was hiding for a while, but I love her. She's so pretty. I love
They're
being
really a
so
beautiful
brown.
species too.
And they're definitely one to get if you want some old worlds. I mean, as long as you don't have a problem with quickness, they are stunning species. And when
Yeah.
like my male has always been sketchy or like skittish, and so like I don't always get to see him, but when I got Diamond is the kind that hangs out. So it's like a freaking ornament in my room. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. But like before,
this is what's up.
yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what people are talking about. Because my Louis, he always run away. I'm like, I want to see you.
You're like, I just want to look at you once.
I know, just come out.
Let me love you.
I've also had Louis since he was like a little tiny baby sling. And like, dude,
So you
guys
grown him out then.
get the babies, because growing a sling to an adult and having them is like the most rewarding thing. I mean, there's definitely a lot of like, you know, extra care with the slings because they do require moisture more than like juveniles. Even if they are like a desert species, like they still need extra moisture for their gummy body.
Right.
You know, like even with these babies, like they're so freaking gummy, like even after a day of too much ventilation, they looked a little dry. So I had to, you know, amp up the humidity. And that's why I'm like always like, even if I don't water my spiders twice a week, I'm always in their business twice a week.
Right.
You know, I'm seeing what's going on. What are you doing? Got
constantly.
Here today. Yeah.
Constantly.
Yes, it is definitely rewarding growing them from slings.
It really is. And it's like you said, slings, I think they're not nearly as forgiving as like a juvenile or sub-adult, you know?
Yeah,
when
yeah,
it
they're
comes to environment. But if you can manage to get that sling to grow and keep molting properly, it's awesome. And to see the changes and the colorations and just the size differences. It's definitely one of the most rewarding feelings. I agree.
Yeah, and anybody that's watching that wants to get into keeping slings, my biggest advice is keep them warm and keep them moist. And that, you know, just like as if they were to be in the egg sac. Or, you know, whenever I get a new species, I don't know if you do this, Megan, but I always think of it like them in their natural environment. Like, whether it like where they're coming from or like what their care pertains to in each life stage. You know, I kind of like, you know, everything kind of goes through similar stuff, you know, but
I do the same thing. I will actually go online and figure out. My first resource that I'm always going to is Richard.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, from
he was the
Tarantula.
biggest key for me, too.
The best. And I love the way his care sheets are set out. From there, I will actually take where their location is normally, Google it, and then try to mimic everything I can about that environment.
Right.
Because that's what's going to make them happy.
Right. Even if you're, like, just using regular standard supplies, like, only, like say you're just using regular soil, your regular hide, sphagnum moss, like you know, because like I had somebody else ask me like, why would I put sphagnum moss in an OBT enclosure? And it just really it depends on like your environment in your house, the enclosure that they're set up in, my OBT is in a very ventilated critter keeper, so her stuff dries up super fast. And I have plants in there that I don't want to dry out, but adding that extra humidity is not going to kill her. I mean, obviously
Right.
it's going to rain where she lives, and underground it's going to be wet and moist. So it's just really taking what you said, Megan, just doing your research and making sure you like look at where they're from.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
mimicking that as best you can, whether or not that's just like, taking your supplies and, oh, it's more dry in that area where they're from. Okay, so don't wet down the dirt.
Right.
If they do require some humidity, mix up that dirt with some water, add some water, you spray it down. I always usually, and if it's really arid, a dry species, just put a water dish in there. And no, tarantulas cannot drown, you guys. Their skin is like hydroponic or something. I don't even know what the term is, but you guys went like in the wild, especially like in Peru, when it floods, they can literally float and they will climb up the trees and survive. Like those little booties are like little inflatable floaties.
Like a little life raft thing going on.
It's like a life raft attached to their body, dude, and they got all the extra legs to paddle. I'm like, that is so cool, because people are like, well, don't put the water dishes in with the tiny ones and they're gonna drown. No,
Like, no,
it's a lie.
They've been adapted to this in the wild. If you look at their environments, they are surrounded sometimes by bodies of water, like lakes or ponds. Like, they'll be okay,
Yeah. And they have the natural disasters, and they've survived all this time through time. Like they're
right.
I don't know how old tarantulas are, but to me, like, they feel like they're dinosaurs.
Oh, 100%. They're so prehistoric looking.
Oh yeah. I mean, where do you come up with that kind of stuff?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is this thing?
I know, like, because like before I was so naive, right? I didn't even know like tarantulas came in the blues and the reds that they come in, and
right.
I was like, when I found that's where the obsession really came from, because I was like, holy crap! Like, can I only just have one, but I can have multiples, and they're all like different. That's like something I love, is like, like how they're all different, their different needs, their different setups. I'm all into like, learning all that kind of stuff. So it is really a passion to keep tarantulas, you guys. It's not for the faint of heart. This isn't your everyday average pet that I recommend anybody keep in their house, because, they do have urticating hairs and they do have venom. And like I said, if you know better, it just depends on the species. So, but, and it's all about doing your research. There's not any channel on TV that's like, this is how you're supposed to take care of tarantulas. No, they want to kill them. So
right.
They want to burn them alive instead.
And pulling, like, going based off that education, if there is anyone out there who wants to, get a tarantula or are looking into that, just like she said, do your research, take into consideration, and it's totally okay to pull from different sources. You don't have to just go to one website and be like, okay, this is where all my information come from. Go to Reddit, go to arachnoboards, go to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Ask your friends.
Yeah. Go to these influencers that are in the field, like Rich or, Tom, and get all your information that you can from different resources. Don't limit yourself.
Right. There's no one way, right way to do it.
Right.
There's
no one way. And I think that's the biggest thing too, is like, I never want to gatekeep people.
No.
On like how they should be taking care of their animal. If something's wrong, it needs to be addressed, but different things work for different people,
Right. They're like there's a totally different, like, you can get really expensive into tarantulas, or you can go really basic and really deep with tarantulas. I mean, it just really all depends on your preference and like what, like, as for me personally, as somebody that showcases my tarantulas on YouTube, and I'm trying to promote positive awareness, and I'm like, yeah, these enclosures have magnets on them. You guys can sleep peacefully at night. Like,
right.
that kind of stuff is important to me. And like I have my Zilla keepers, and I wouldn't recommend them to people, but I use them. I won't throw them away. I don't throw anything away.
It'll go unused, but I'm still gonna have it,
Yeah. So just in case it might serve a purpose later.
I will say with the enclosures, like you were saying, that's a huge one too. Because security, a lot of people want to know that they're secure. And I'm not trying to be like, let's promote this brand, but I mean, visually you could see everything's tarantula cribs back here.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it took a long time to get to that point. But the reason I did it is because I wanted something that was going to last, and I wanted something I knew none of my bigger species were going to get out of. And that was the best way to go. It's really important, I think, to make an investment in a proper enclosure.
Yeah, for real.
Definitely. And I mean, of course, there's more affordable options. Like, I love Zilla. I have nothing against them.
Right. I just hate that, like, if you are putting it together, it might break.
Right, exactly. I don't like all the different pieces.
Right. And then it's like, how am I going to use this? But
right.
Yeah, that security for me is like everything, because when I first started keeping, I had nightmares of my tarantula getting out like all the time, and I still do.
Too.
I have like these irrational dreams, right? And I'm going to share this with you, Megan, and I'm going to share this with everybody, because I learned this about myself. And if you are struggling with this too, here's the reason why. So if you are having these dreams where your animals are getting out, they're all together, you're just really anxious about them, it's literally just because you care so much about them that like your anxieties transform into like these crazy dreams, and then like you're sleeping and you're trying to separate your tarantulas from each other before they eat one another, and it's like this really scary thing that you're having a dream about.
That's so true, though. It's coming from a place of love, because when I had my male regal jumper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loved him, my little baby. Like, don't tell the others. He's totally was my favorite. But I had a horrific nightmare one night. And it was something, I don't know what. Like, all I can think is it looked like Venom as the symbiote, like, black tar stuff from Spider-Man,
Yeah.
And it had gotten into Tatsuki's cage, or his enclosure, and it was like latching on to him. And I'm like, what is this? Number one, like, why is this a thing? It's not real, but it really is. That was recently after I brought him home, and I think it was just one of those things where I'm like, I really care about him, and I want to make sure that nothing happens and nothing gets in there.
Yeah,
it is a place of love.
Yeah, because I have those dreams often. Because like I'm like I dream every night regardless. I'm a lucid dreamer, so like the dreams just come back.
That's impressive, actually.
It's annoying. I yell in my sleep. I'm like,
I get night terrors. I feel that.
Dude, like last night I was just like, dude, I'll wake myself up yelling at somebody.
Oh yeah, I'll start having.
It's usually me dragging somebody in my sleep. It's the craziest thing. I don't even know what's going on. Like, I'll just wake up, and my boyfriend will be like, "Dude, do you remember what you were saying last night?" I'm like, "Not a clue."
No idea.
Because like, what's crazy to me is like, I'm sleeping. I have like the same dream almost every night, but it's like different scenarios, but like. Not once in my dream do I remember fighting somebody, It's just
right.
Like, and then all of a sudden I'm like yelling, you all about your,
She's over here like, I'm about to drag you in the street in my sleep. Let's go.
But I did learn, I get it from my grandfather, because my grandfather yells in his sleep too. So Grandpops, if you ever watch this, thanks for crazy sleep talking. I just started doing that like 2 years ago, man. I was like, what's happening to me? I mean, I used to do it every once in a while, but I do it all the time now.
That's wild. That's gonna be a struggle though. Like, are you feeling tired and whatnot?
I wake up exhausted sometimes, but
yeah,
it's not so bad anymore. I'm used to it at this point.
You feel like adjusted.
Yeah, but like when I seriously like when I first got my tarantulas though, I had nightmares all the time.
All the time.
And it took me a while to like get over that, because I was like, Jesus. I wake up like my Zilla enclosures, right? I would literally put like pennies on top of the lid all around the diameter just to make sure that the spider I had in there at the
Yes.
time, Freddy, wouldn't get out, that he wasn't gonna like push it open or something. I had it like all booby trapped and stuff.
I've done like the tape situation, you know, where
Oh,
you like
have you?
tape the top and the sides, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna block you off, but like you ain't getting out, kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. And I also remember one time I couldn't find my OBT. Like, she had webbed up her entire. She was in a critter keeper. She webbed up her entire enclosure from bottom to top, and I was like, "Where'd the spider go?"
Oh,
I just like
no.
I couldn't see her for some reason, and I was just panicking. And dude, I pulled her whole enclosure apart just to find her at the very bottom. I was like,
It figures.
"Yeah, it figures," but I had to know. Like,
Right.
there was no way I was going to bed with a spider in my house loose. Absolutely not. But I
No.
have also left like lids open on my enclosures because I get tired. Like, I'll literally be up in the middle of the night feeding these guys. And I'll be
Right.
like 2 a.m. I'll go to sleep and I'll just wake up and I'm like, the spider is
Yo.
still in there. Luckily she was, but I was like, Jenny.
It's
And I
still
want to
scary
keep.
to think though, because it's like it's such a simple mistake, but like even I think everyone's done it where they leave it open just because they're so exhausted. Your brain is
Right.
like, it's just not there in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, she's on a shelf, so like if she were to have came out, dude, I feel like she would have just fallen like onto the floor and something bad would have happened.
That's my biggest concern of them getting out every time is like, I just don't
They
want them
fall.
to die and get hurt,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, because like, a lot of them are on shelves. Most people have them on shelves, so
Right.
I don't want that. And like my dog, my husky is like super killer, so she would just kill anything that got out. Like when my crested gecko got out that day, I was like, boy, you are so lucky you stayed in this room. I mean, I put my dog up every night just in case. Like she's kenneled for that reason, but man, I was like, Jennifer, that's when I was like, I gotta put the zip ties back on this thing because I
gotta get locks for every single enclosure, you know?
Yeah, the ones that like don't have magnets on, yeah, they have to have some kind of extra security. Because like I've even left the lid off of my mature male Asian forest scorpion. Like, not that he could climb out or anything, but like had my dog stuck her nose in there and gotten stung, dude.
Right.
And
I think that's
keep
the
venomous.
thing too. There's so many people that have like cats and dogs that want to get scorpions or tarantulas, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I have 2 cats as well, and they're my babies. So yeah, I get nervous about them getting bit, but I think I also get more nervous because there's more of a potential, I think, of the cat or the dog injuring the spider before it even has a chance to get away, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like one swat or pounce and it's done.
Yeah, seriously. Like I don't even play with that with my dogs.
No.
At all. Like seriously, my husky gets put up every night just in case an animal does escape. Like I don't know. I hate how my brain works like that. It just like drops off.
I do that all the time though. I'll be like,
The
I was
ADHD.
talking about something.
Yeah, I know. I'm like looking for it. Wait, no.
No, we're talking about how you're like really good about trying to keep your dog kenneled because in case one of your animals gets out.
Yeah, and like like that's just like something you have to like make very clear to other people too that are interested in keeping tarantulas, because like I've said before, like my dogs have gotten swollen eyes from getting urticating hairs in their eye, and they weren't even haired by the tarantula. It's just from the fact that I have tarantulas in my house and the hair got in their eye and it was just like hanging around in the room. I vacuum all the time, I dust all the time, but like
It's gonna be there.
They're in the carpet.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think a lot of people think that if you're gonna get haired, essentially, it's gonna be from that tarantula directly. But if you pick up a molt, like you could potentially get hair in there, and
honestly, it's just from having them.
It's just from having them. It's something you got to be aware of.
Yeah, and like
gloves, goggles if you have to. Like, I'm always really careful using gloves if I got to reach in there because I don't know. I'm not trying to get. No, I'm good.
Right? Or like, like the dog and cat thing. Like for dogs, for me, is like dogs like see everything as like a chew toy.
Right.
And if you don't teach your dog to know better, or if they just are naturally like high prey driven and they see anything move, and there's no barrier between that, like, yeah, the spider's in the enclosure, but all it takes is for that dog to start shaking that enclosure and it's dead.
Oh,
Or
100%.
knock it over and the spider's loose, spilled. But then you also have the same thing with the cats. The cats could easily knock off, stuff if they don't know any better. It's just all about teaching your animals. But like, explain that to somebody, that wants to get into the hobby, and you're like, you have to keep them separated. Like, these are animals that you have to respect because they are not your average normal pet. And,
Right.
I really have to emphasize that for people because when their kid starts getting swollen eyes or their animal gets swollen eyes and then they're taking them to the vet. Luckily, I didn't have to take my dogs to the vet because my mom took our dogs to the vet our entire lives and she's like a vet. So I just,
Nice.
Mom, my dog, I literally called her because like I was so scared, dude. I woke up and my dog Maya's face, my husky's face was swollen. Her whole face was her mouth, her face. I was like, oh, Mom.
Oh,
I was
no.
freaking out, dude. And she's like, all she needs is like Benadryl, but not the stuff that has Sudafed. I think it's like the non-Sudafed ones, or there's another ingredient you really have to look out for, but you can usually treat it with just like regular Benadryl, but I can't remember what stuff it can't have in it, so don't quote me. But
do your research first, but like,
yeah, do your
it's a
research
type of
first.
Benadryl.
Yeah, there's like something in one of them that the dogs can't have that humans can have. It's like a drug. So
Oh, okay. And it would affect
lidocaine. So you just have to get the ones without lidocaine. There you go.
Okay, gotcha.
Came to mind. Yes, but that treated my dogs. So I have a husky and I also have a chihuahua. I couldn't give the chihuahua a whole pill of Benadryl.
Right.
So instead, I have Lucille spray, and it's like antiseptic spray for dogs and cats and other small animals. Like, I used it on my Pac-Man frog when I was treating him. He didn't make it, but anyways, I still have the stuff. And I used it on my chihuahua, and that helped. I just wiped her eye, applied that, sprayed it twice a day for a day or two, and it was gone. But yeah, but in the moment, it was really scary. Like, had I not known any better, it just came from a tarantula hair. I'm going to be spending $600 at the vet, and then all of a sudden, I'm mad at my tarantulas because, but like, if you're aware that can happen, then there's no reason to be upset about it. And that's why I try to teach people about tarantulas on my YouTube as much as I can, because there's just so much more to them than just like having them in a box on your shelf.
Right. I think the biggest misconception I've heard with just keeping tarantulas and scorpions is that they are, easy pets to keep. And in the sense that, yeah, they don't need a giant enclosure. They don't need all this excess lighting, things like that. They still have requirements, and they're not for everyone.
Right.
Just because they're easier doesn't mean that they're necessarily like the easiest to keep.
Right. Like, they're not like a dog. You don't have to take them outside. You don't have to interact with them every day, but you do still have to house them, feed them, and water them every week.
Right. I think a big thing too with tarantulas is that a lot of new keepers really freak out about, because like even I, as a new keeper, when I first started, I was panicky. Right. You're gonna have mites, right? Like, mites are gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's dirt, it's this and that, and you have to be ready to change that substrate out. You got to be ready to interact with that tarantula and that kind of aspect too, because there's always a risk of that happening.
Yeah, and then you also have to think, if you're gonna feed them, a lot of people keep feeders, especially if you have a lot of them.
Yes.
You're gonna have feeders in your house, like roaches and crickets.
Oh, I had like 25 crickets get loose one time. It was.
Yeah, I have them roaming around in my house all the time.
Oh, yeah. They're just chilling. I'm like, okay, there's another one.
I know, like last night I took my headphones off because I had a bunch of male crickets singing, and I have a bunch of adult males right now because I've been buying a lot of large crickets in bulk to feed all of my animals, because I've strictly been feeding my crested geckos a lot of crickets mainly, and instead of their crested gecko diet all the time. So I've had to buy more just because of that fact. But yeah, like I've had hundreds escape at one time.
Oh yeah.
Like I had pinheads and I had them in a critter keeper, and I didn't realize they could just easily squeeze out of there, man. And
Oh
dude,
no.
I learned the hard way. I
Oh
ended up just taking
no.
the vacuum and sucking them up. I mean, you guys.
That's what
have
I would have done at
crickets.
that point.
I
There's
mean, what
not
else
much
are
you
you
can
gonna
do.
do? I mean, because
Right.
like I will not feed a cricket that's been in my bathroom. Hell no.
Ow.
Pardon my French, but like I spray bleach in there. I spray
It's not
chemicals.
happening.
It's not happening. If it's in my
No.
nasty kitchen, in my dog hair kitchen, like
Right,
under my
thank you.
fridge, no, thank you. I'm not feeding that. I'll go get them a fresh one. I'm good.
Like, I'm not doing this. I don't know what they walk through. I don't know what they decided to put their little mouths on.
Right? What do
You
they
know?
eat? I won't
Mm-mm.
risk it. I won't risk it. I won't risk one bad cricket for my tarantulas. health.
No. Even if I know like it's probably not going to do anything, I'm like, nope. And anytime someone asks me, can I feed my tarantula wild caught bugs? No.
No.
There's parasites in wild caught bugs. Don't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
And, well, you can't really blame people for thinking that way, but
I get the mindset behind it for sure.
right. But like, it's just like, yeah, they will get parasites if you feed them like random stuff or, hi Jason. No, we can't start over. But what was I talking about?
No, we both blanked out.
Oh. Well, we were talking about some good stuff. Anybody in the comments?
I know we were talking about crickets escaping.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you do have to keep them in your house. They're gonna escape. I mean, and that's why I don't keep red runner roaches in my house for that reason. And because those ones will infest your house.
Yes.
Yes, like in a heartbeat. And that's why I don't keep them.
And they're hard to get rid of once they get there.
Oh my God, yeah. And I mean, it's hard to get rid of the crickets, all of them after they escaped. Like there's, what I was gonna say, I had to take my headphones out like the other night because I swear to God I heard one again in my kitchen, and I was like, is it coming from here or is it coming from there? Like I one time found a banded cricket, and I know it was a banded cricket because I ordered a bunch from Josh's Frogs at one point because I couldn't go pick them up, and I was like, dude, this cricket has lived here for 4 months. 4 months, dude. Yeah.
He made home.
Yeah, he did, and he had a whole family too. There was like 3
I feel like I would have been like really proud of him, but at the same moment, like, really, man?
Yeah.
You had to? Like,
yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
But now when it's getting warmer, I'll just throw them outside.
That's what I do. I'll be like, be free, have fun.
Be free. Somebody will
live your life.
You. One cricket's not gonna hurt nothing. It's not even gonna last long enough to procreate. Don't worry.
Right, exactly. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, because there's so many squatters. Like I call like the spiders around my house squatters.
Oh, they still are.
Yeah, and they just be hanging out. I always feed them in the summertime. Do you do that?
Oh yeah, we get the tan jumping spiders on the back porch back here. Oh. And they'll breed and they'll just be all over our porch. So I'll go out there and I'm like, peace offering, and I'll give them little worms or like flies or something. They love it. They love it. And we just let them stay. They're great.
Oh yeah. I tried to have a house spider one time. It was a daddy long leg, but I literally like stepped on it the same day.
Oh no!
It was in my bathroom, and I was like, "Oops,
my bad. Sorry,
I just seen it there fidgeting. I was like,
well, like at least it wasn't intentional,
Right. Well, no, but I was like, that's why we can't have no house pets.
Right.
No free roamers. Because they're either going to get stepped on me or my dog's going to like lick them right up.
Oh, 100%. They're going to get eaten.
Yeah, my husky will eat the crickets too.
Oh, the cats will go after them. We'll wake up and like the cricket will be beheaded,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what did y'all do?
That's like, so weird. They just behead them and leave it.
Yes.
That's some cat stuff.
Listen, my cats are psychotic. They're on like some next level.
Have you ever seen that movie? Not to go off topic or anything, but have you ever seen that movie? It's got the guy that plays Deadpool,
Oh, Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds, and he's like a sociopath, and he lives with his dog and his cat. But
Yes!
hear
they
them
talk
talk.
to him?
Yeah,
Yes!
dude, that cat was evil.
He was
Evil,
diabolical.
dude.
Oh my
He's like,
gosh.
you know you want to kill him, Jerry.
You know you want to kill him. Just go kill him. It's fine. No. I imagine that's how my cats would talk though, like if they could.
Seriously.
100%.
I'm like, that's cats right there,
Right.
bodied. They do not give no craps.
They
Dogs
really
are
don't.
like, cats are like, all right, I'm gonna live with this family for this amount of years, and I'm gonna plot to do this, and that, and that, and this. And
Literally.
yeah, you know.
I think of that Exploding Kitten show. Have you watched that yet? Okay, so there's a card game. I think it's a card game called Exploding Kittens. Well, they turned it into a Netflix cartoon, like adult cartoon. It is so funny because God comes down and he's in the form of a cat, and then Lilith comes in and she's in the form of a cat.
Oh my
And they have to like, help their individual families out or whatever. It's really funny, but
yeah,
it reminds me of truly what cats are.
yeah. They are killers.
They are.
People let them sleep in their house with them.
I know. I don't know what I'm
You.
thinking.
I'm just kidding.
Like that crazy girl.
I have dogs though. I have I have my husky and I have my chihuahua. My chihuahua is insane.
They're
She
so
probably
cute,
thinks like
though.
that too. She probably thinks like that too in her little mind while she's
Oh, you
sitting
know
there
it.
thinking,
She runs
I'm
the
gonna
world.
murder
She's
all of
like,
you today.
"This
No.
is mine."
What she does is so like she's about 2 now, 2 or 3.
Okay.
I can't remember. But she slept in the bed with us for like the first 2 years of her life, like as a puppy. Like she was always in bed, always sleeping with us. And then like one day I was like, okay, Coco, you're a grown girl now. You gotta sleep in your own bed on the floor.
Big girl
Well,
time.
Do you know what this dog did to me for 3 weeks straight? Crap on my floor every freaking day that she was not in the bed, dude. Just crapping on the floor. She'd go pee on the floor. I'm mad.
She protested.
Dude, legitimately, I would take her outside and then she would come back inside and poop or pee on the floor. She would hold it.
That's
I'm like,
some
that's
level
some-
of like spite, man.
That's what I'm talking about. Some spiteful crap, man. I was like, that's some evil Chihuahua stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Animals are so much
no.
smarter than we give them credit for.
They really are.
But I'm
They
also
really
like the
are.
kind of person that's like, yeah, my tarantulas talk back to me and I know what they're saying. So
I'll do the same thing. I have a full-on conversation,
yeah.
My partner's looking at me like, are you talking to the spiders again? Yeah, of course. Why aren't you?
Yeah,
know?
why aren't you? I know. I'm like, why aren't you talking to them? He's like, that's weird.
Right.
I'm like, but they know who I am. They kind of respond. Because like
I'm
they get used to your voice. Like when I sit down in here and do this podcast, there's ones that will come out of their holes and sit out and pay
They
attention.
do recognize you. Yeah, I feel like, and that's that vibration you were saying is like there's certain frequencies in your voice. I think they get like used to that,
Right, because when you scream, they react to you screaming.
Oh, girl, I know. I accidentally screamed the other day
Seriously.
and I scared her. I felt
I
so
know.
bad.
I know. I did that to my OBT last time I interacted with her. She started running in circles, and I was like, ah! But you could tell as soon as I started screaming, that's when she got most amped up. I was like, that poor spider. I was like, I'm so sorry.
You're like, my bad.
Oh
man. Yeah, no, they jump. They'll do the little like leg jump, and then you see them run. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I will say that's the difficult thing, having them in like this size up here, and it's like this is the tarantula cube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a cube. But those magnets are so strong that I feel like they're hard to lift up sometimes, and so when I go to put them back down without pinching myself, sometimes they kind of like slam a little bit, and my spider's just like, what just happened?
Oh yeah. I did. Number one, Jason, yes, Chihuahuas are such big-headed dogs. Like, they just think that they own everything. It doesn't matter if it's just a little bit of Chihuahua. If it's Chihuahua, they think they own you.
It's in their blood.
Yeah, they're like, I am the king of the house. But back to what we were saying. What were you talking about? Got the head.
We're bad at this.
I know.
No.
We're both ADHD. Fucking. Oh,
I
sorry.
hear the word chihuahua and then I turn around and I'm like, chihuahuas, you know?
Sorry, guys. Let her watch them. We're just.
Oh, scared. Then when they get scared. My gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh, my green bottle blue. She is she's over there with like the rest of some of my adults, and hers is like that too. Whenever I close the top, I have to try and like slowly close it as slow as possible. Because she literally will be like,
and they do like laps, you know?
Yeah, or she'll flick hairs or threat pose me. This girl needs to molt. It's been months.
Really?
She's another one of those that's just, it's been months that it's just taken forever for her to molt. And I'm just like, I want you to molt because I want to know if she's a girl or a boy. Because at this point, if she gets any bigger, then it's a girl. But if it's not, then I feel like it's going to be a boy.
Right. You can kind of tell by that size a little bit, I think. And even my green bottle blue. I don't know if it's a male or a female yet, but they've never gotten defensive with me, but they do get really fast like that. And they will get startled super, super easy. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like the green bottle blue in general, because I know they're a faster species. They're kind of like skittish, but some of my favorites.
Yeah. Just not my favorite to your house at all.
No. Oh.
Dude, does yours relentlessly kick hairs at you?
No, not my green bottle blue for some reason. They've never ever kicked hairs at me. I will say rehousing too, the first time that I rehoused, really easy. It was weird. But the only reason is because the way I had that cork bark in there, she, whatever, had managed to make a web kind of cocoon in it.
Yeah.
Because they had just molted a couple weeks prior.
Right.
And so when I pulled it out, it was real easy because he was kind of like cocooned in that web and I could just pull him out and put him in.
Right.
But I'm dreading it now because as he gets bigger, I know that he is going to just, it's not going to be a fun time. It's not going to be fun.
No. Mine, ever since I got her, she has always kicked hairs at me. Just
really
dumps hairs on me when I rehouse her. Dang. I mean, it's so bad that I'm just like, she'll sit there, she's still kicking, and I'm like, lady, relentless. I'm not even touching you, breathing on you. She
just keeps going. Like, oh,
dude. And then I'm just sitting there. Oh, I just can't do the hairs, man. Like once they start getting to me, I'm just
they
so
hurt.
Itchy. Like even just thinking about them makes my head itch.
Right, like, it's uncomfortable, and you get these like whelps going on. You know, I hate it.
Yeah, and like the one time I was seriously haired, the craziest thing was like it didn't even like hit me until like a half hour, an hour later. It was the weirdest thing.
Really?
Like, because like I had rehoused one of my tarantulas. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was definitely like not like a really gentle hair, but I'm just wondering which one it was. But I just can't remember. But anyways, they haired me, and I went out to go into the living room to go relax. And I went to go take a drink of my water, and all of a sudden I'm just like, oh no, I did get haired. And then
you knew in that moment.
Oh. Dude, I just knew. I was like, I gotta take some Benadryl.
It just keeps going, you know?
Yeah. It's just the never-ending itch.
Which makes it worse because, like, I don't know about for you, but, like, for me, I start to get irritated when I can't get rid of it. And then that makes the pain worse. I'm like, now I'm mad and in pain.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just didn't go away for a while. I was just... And then, you know, now it's just, I feel like I'm super sensitive to hairs ever since.
Well, I've heard that too. Like I have a friend who I actually credit her for getting me into spiders in the first place. Whittle Wide Webs is like the business name,
Mm-hmm.
but specializing in jumping spiders. And then for a while, she was also selling tarantulas. But she recently, within the past couple months, actually developed an allergy to the hairs.
Oh,
So now she can no longer be around the tarantulas. She's like, even if they don't hair me, just being in that vicinity will just
wow.
give her the same effects, or she'll start feeling just lightheaded, itchy, like allergies kind of thing.
Yeah, right, right.
And I thought that was wild. So
That's
I don't
really
know.
interesting. But I have heard like the more you get hair, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that, and it also depends on like you as a person, too, like to build an
Right.
allergy like that over time. It just really would depend on your body. That's really unfortunate though. I'm really sorry for her because I would hate having to get rid of my tarantulas
I would be
after
so
keeping them and then
devastated.
all of a sudden you have an allergy. I'm sorry.
Right. Nah, and I mean she's doing good because she's still doing like the jumping spiders, and I think that's that's where I got my first jumping spider,
Yeah.
That's kind of like the forte, I think. And it sucks, but I think she's doing really good with like rehoming them. I do need to actually hit her up and see how she's doing with that, but
Yeah.
it was kind of a weird situation for me to hear about because I had never heard till that point, and I didn't realize that that could actually happen. But it
Right.
makes sense because people develop allergies to stuff that they've been eating their whole life,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And in general, the hairs just get generally worse the more you're exposed to them.
Right. Your
'Cause,
body
like,
just starts to kind of reject them.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not like you keep doing it, your body gets used to it. No, it's the opposite with tarantulas.
Right. It's
And that's
complete
like
opposite
another
of what
thing
it
to think
is.
of.
Say again?
That's like another thing to think of. Getting into tarantulas. Like,
Yeah.
is that going to be you? Are you going to be okay with that?
Like, are you comfortable with that? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's gonna happen one way or another. You're gonna get haired.
I've always told him, like, regardless of how careful and respectful you are, like, at some point, inevitably, it could be a year in, a month in, 50 years in, it doesn't matter. Like, you will get haired at some point, and
Yeah.
it's just to
But
be expected.
right, but then again, you can always get species that don't possess their decaying hairs. 'Cause
Right.
there are certain new world species of tarantulas that don't possess their decaying hairs. Or you could just mainly go with old worlds. Does she just have old worlds then?
No, she had a lot of. I don't know if she had old worlds.
No,
she
no,
might have. She had a lot of new worlds. I got my pink toe from her.
What I would be interested in knowing is like, since the old worlds don't have eradicating hairs, would she be able to keep old worlds then?
Yeah, I think she would with old worlds.
Oh, okay. So that's better.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. That's interesting. Wow. So, I mean, that's a little loophole and that's what I love about tarantulas too, is like the variety allows like for there to be not hiccups, but like loops. So like, you don't want a huge spider, so you go with the dwarf spider. You don't want a fast spider that's gonna teleport, so you go with New World. You don't want a defensive tarantula that's gonna slap at you, go with the New World.
Right.
Like there's always an option. There's always a better option. And even with like spiders that you can handle, even though there's a long list of rules and regulations that you should be aware of and you should take accountability for
Absolutely.
when handling tarantulas, especially when you see the people handling the old worlds, just don't do it. I mean, and if you are, don't record it. Okay,
it's not smart.
It's not. Don't be
It's
teaching
asking
people
for a bad situation to happen.
Right. You get somebody that just doesn't even know anybody. They see somebody holding OBT, so they think it's a good idea.
Like, yeah, I'm going to go hold one now, and next thing you know.
Right. But the biggest thing that I worry, especially nowadays, is just like one bad thing happening and it ruining the entire thing for our entire hobby. Just like, because like, the Indiana thing, just a snake escaped. What could happen if a tarantula bit somebody and they went to the hospital and freaking died because their body had a bad reaction to the venom or something like that,
Or I think too, even if an unfortunate situation happens where you have someone who is older or someone who already has a pre-existing condition, you know, and then that happens, they're going to immediately, media is going to be like, spider bit,
Yeah.
that was the problem, you know,
Right.
tarantulas
And
are
then nobody's
evil. And
allowed
it's
to
like,
keep
but you're
them.
not mentioning that this person also had maybe like a respiratory infection,
Right, but
or
that's
heart
not
infection.
even. That's
Right.
not even. They're not even ever gonna say that on the
No,
news.
never.
The news is just gonna lie to you.
Exactly. And yeah, I agree with you. That's really one of my biggest fears. Like, just people have got to be so responsible when it comes
Yeah.
to these animals, and
Yeah.
just prove to people that, hey, these are amazing animals, and here's why, because you can do this in a safe way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There is a right and wrong way to do it. There's many right ways to do it, but there are definitely wrong ways to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
And that is like, just promoting your tarantulas being defensive, and just, we all know who that person is.
Right. Giving them that negative image that
Yeah.
it's like you're encouraging this bad talk about them almost.
Right, right. And just like, yeah. But you can see the difference between tarantulas that are kept properly and ones that are not.
Oh, 100%.
They're not gonna react like that. They're not gonna.
I feel like most tarantulas that are kept, well, all tarantulas really that I've seen that are kept properly, they're super chill. They just
Yeah.
hang out, they do their thing. But of course, if you have a spider that's the size of my hand in a container that's like 6 inches,
Yeah.
they're gonna be pretty mad at you.
Pissed, just because they don't have anywhere to go. And
I actually, one of the saddest things that I ever heard was I had gone to my local reptile store. I will not name names. I love the store. I love everyone that works there now. This guy has since left. But he straight up had tried to convince me to purchase a tarantula that personally I was just not, I didn't want to buy it, and I didn't have the room. Doesn't matter. I didn't need to justify. And I said, I don't have the room, I got to get an enclosure, trying to be nice. And he goes, oh, you can just keep it in that cup. It can live in there. And I felt my heart drop, because I'm like, I don't know if you're just not educated, but to think that there are people that might be keeping those animals in these little deli cups
they do.
at that size, like it's ridiculous.
They do. There are people like that.
Right.
And I don't know if it's just like they're ignorant, but at this point in time, you should be doing something different.
Right. There's too many resources out there for you to
Yeah.
get educated on. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are people that I have seen keep their tarantulas in bare minimum, no hide, no water dish, no foliage. They need that stuff in order to feel comfortable. But when you give them literally nothing but a box of dirt, they're gonna be insecure. They're gonna be upset, stressed, not acting normal, balding themselves.
Well, and it's almost like when you have reptiles, they love that clutter. They love it. And a lot of people don't want to put that in because, like, oh, well, I'll never see my reptile. I mean, that's kind of the point. That's what they like. That's what makes them feel safe. And I think tarantulas need that same kind of stimulation, in their environment.
To feel secure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's important to really put a lot into, husbandry, I think.
Right. Yeah. I definitely don't agree with just keeping them in bare minimum sterile containers. It's just really sad to me. They can't even do anything natural that they would have done in in nature. At least if they can't have a 9-foot burrow, they can at least have a foot burrow, a burrow that's a foot deep.
And that was the thing too, is like, I know a lot of tarantula species, the terrestrial even, they become fossorial over time because they don't have a hide.
Right.
And I think a lot of people will see that as normal, and it is in the wild for sure. But when you have a captive bred tarantula, I think it's important to give them that hide because it's so much more stress added to them to have to create something and web it up. And, it's just added stress on that animal it doesn't need.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And really, I think maybe not across the board for all species, but I know with OBT specifically, they need that. They need that security,
Yeah, and I do want to mention this because there is like a saying, like, they do just fine in there, but they adapt to their situation. They're going to make the best of any situation that you put them in.
Right.
So just because they seem like they're okay with being in a tiny cup, and just because they made the best out of it, because that's what tarantulas do. They don't have emotions, so they're not going to get depressed about
They
it.
work
But
with what they have. Yeah.
they work what they have, and based of how they're going to react off of that is, that's just what it is. But just because an animal is going to make comfort out of whatever you give them doesn't mean it's the best for them. Like, I know my snake, my ball python Jaime, he would do just fine in his 40-gallon his whole life. But
Right.
personally, I want him in a 120-gallon this year.
That's exactly where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a couple times a week, I'm still letting him out. I let him out to like roam in his playpen and play for hours, and then when he's done, I put him back. But like, I don't want to have to do that. I just want him to be able to live freely, and because like it's okay to have animals at a certain point, right? As long as they're comfortable, they're healthy, they're eating, they're thriving, that's fine. But like, I do think that there's a lot more. It makes me happy to be able to do that for my animals personally.
I
rather
agree, and
than
I think
seeing them miserable.
for humans to kind of put ourselves, in that position, in those shoes, in the shoes of a snake,
Right.
it would be really the equivalent to, could I survive in my bedroom for the rest of my life? Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably. If I had food and I had someone bringing me stuff, would it be comfortable?
No.
Oh God, no! I'd be so confined, I'd go crazy, and I'd
you
become
go
very
insane.
reclusive,
Yeah.
or defensive. And it's really the same with snakes. You don't want to combine; they want to stretch out, and I think for their bone structure, especially not having appendages,
Yeah.
they need that.
Yeah, they definitely need to be able to like fully stretch out every once in a while at least.
And same with tarantulas. I mean, yeah, they have. You can get a 12-inch by 12-inch, fine, but they still got to stretch those legs.
Yeah, you can tell, like, especially because like I've seen people unbox like their like the sturmies,
Yeah.
out of those cups, and like even the sturmies like really too big for the cup, but like just for shipping reasons. After they open the cup, the tarantula's like, "Oh, thank God!" Like, let me out of here.
You see that relief almost, where they're like, "Whoa, I'm stretching out."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes along with like, like there's a fine line with like tarantulas about how much space you can and you shouldn't give them. It all depends on the species,
Life stage for sure.
life stage, but like if you can go bigger, go bigger.
Go bigger.
And do it correctly. There's always a way to set it up correctly that you can go bigger. But
100%.
And like, because some of my tarantulas, they like, why rehouse Diamond into a smaller enclosure? She just didn't use the space of that entire 10-gallon. So I was like, I'll just put her into something smaller that she'll feel more secure in.
Right.
And I have other tarantulas like my desert blonde that likes to walk around. I have my green bottle blue that stays in the same spot all the time. So it just really depends on the tarantula too.
It's personality. Like, that was my curly hair, as I had her in a 12 by 12 by 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she's a big girl, but she really didn't use it. She likes to burrow in her little hide. I have a giant hairy scorpion who, on the other hand, is just like, I'm going to be out all over the place, right? So I swapped
my
them.
scorpion.
Yeah, I swapped him out. And I'm like, now he's doing great in that one, and she's so much happier in that smaller enclosure.
It's just a science experiment, man. It really
is.
And every time you house your tarantula, like, even if you aren't happy with like how you set them up originally, just know like the next time you set them up, you'll be better prepared on how you want to put it together, that it's going to work for you in that spider specifically. So like if you have, a terrestrial spider that just so happens to like to burrow, you notice that they do like to burrow, you can give them more substrate. They don't necessarily like to burrow, okay, give them less substrate next time. Something that you can only learn from being around your tarantulas and keeping them for a certain amount of time.
That's the whole thing too, is like the whole process. And it doesn't get talked about enough, I think, is that keeping exotic animals, especially tarantulas and scorpions that have such odd but normal to them behaviors. I keep losing my train of thought. It sucks.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I do it too. But the tarantulas and their unusual behaviors.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it can just be weird for people to accommodate to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even with the reptiles too, because they have they have to have a heat gradient you know?
Right.
Like for me, that was like the hardest thing for me to like understand when I got my ball python was how
Same.
in the heck do I have a cool side at 75
And
with
then
the
you've got like
warm side with
gradients on each side, and then like there's a
85
middle.
and then a heat spot, and I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, how do I even get into this?
Blows
And then
my
like
mind because
right,
everyone's like, ball pythons are a great first snake, and I'm like, no, they're not.
they're not, dude. And they
Please.
require such bigger enclosures than like
A lot
some
of snake,
people do.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, like they can't just be in like a drawer.
Oh,
You know
like
what I mean?
like the rack
Like,
system things.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I totally love them for breeders. That's
Yeah.
a great way. But if you have rack systems and you call it your hobby, I feel like you're a hoarder.
Yeah, that's kind of
You
how I
know?
feel. And it's like there's a part of me that's like no hate to anyone who does that because again, to each their own. If that works with you, that works with you. But on the same hand, I do always question
Right.
how's that snake feel, you know?
Right. Well, and
Yeah.
you know, I see a lot of people like on Facebook Marketplace. It's not just the snakes though that they're doing it with either. It's like they have like this whole rack system that has like up here we have leopard geckos, then we have crested geckos, then we have ball pythons.
They'll have
then
all
we
these
have
different
redics,
types.
all in the same rack, and I'm like, how? Number one, that doesn't even work like temperature wise for each
Right.
and every one of those individual animals. They all require different humidities or no humidity, hotter air. I mean, it's just like there's
Right.
just so much more to it than just like stuffing an animal into a drawer.
Well, and that's even like my velvet spider, you know, she no moisture, no water bowl, nothing.
Yeah, you can't
right?
have
Like
that 'cause
absolutely
it'll
not.
kill 'em.
So I have to keep her separate, you know, a
Right.
little more of a distance because I don't want her to be next to that enclosure with cross ventilation. That's just letting out humidity, you know?
Right. That's
Yeah.
why I don't have any like really desert animals. The only real desert animal you guys like keep is my California king snake. And she
Oh,
molts
amazing.
perfectly. She molts perfectly with like the humidity that I already have in the room.
Yeah.
But like anything that required like 30% humidity all the time, I couldn't keep. Anything below 30% because my room is always at 30% at least.
Yeah.
And if the door is wide open, it's still 25%. So
It's hard too. And especially
you have
like
to be
desert
considerate.
species.
You just
They're
have
so
to be.
Oh, you're good, sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna repeat myself.
No, you're fine. I'll say desert species like with scorpions, like they get prone to fungal infections, you
Right.
know? And it's like
And
that's
due to
a
high humidity.
big deal, you know?
Yeah.
And that's even just from little humidity. So I only have one right now I only have one desert species and it's that scorpion because
Yeah.
I mean I agree, I can't do it either. It's too hard.
Yeah. And
really is.
because like you would really have to make a whole thing out of it to accommodate another animal like that, you
Yeah.
know. And like that's why like even my scorpions are Asian forest. They like a lot of humidity, but yeah.
I love the Asian forest too. I have one of those. She's right now still a scorpling.
Yeah. Oh, I
but
have a scorpion too.
They're so sweet.
They're so cute.
I love
Mine's real
'em.
chubby right now. She's getting ready to molt.
Oh, mine has not molted yet. I'm waiting on that. But it took my Avic. I kid you not. I got her almost 2 years ago. It has taken her that long to do one molt.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It really depends on the animal itself. Cause my Avic is like that too. I've only had 2 molts from her, and I've had her longer than a lot of my tarantulas. But she is an adult.
Now, with your AVIC, like, I'm curious because, like, a lot of people will talk about sudden AVIC death syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, living in Florida, I feel like we have kind of a higher humidity. So I don't have to spray her down ever. I just give her water.
Right.
Where you're at, do you have to spray her down by chance or do you? Yeah.
Yeah. I even switched her over from my Exoterra I had her in to tarantula cribs because even the Exoterra wasn't holding enough humidity because where I live it's like 5% humidity outside. It's it's really dry out here. I mean, it gets better during the summer, but especially during the wintertime, it gets really freaking dry where I live.
That's wild.
And yeah, so I keep her in there. I used to have a water dish in there, but she kept freaking dumping it every time I refilled
They
it.
always
So
do, I swear.
she oversaturated the enclosure. And so now I've just been kind of just like letting it dry. But now I just spritz her. But I have a lot of sphagnum moss in there that holds the humidity. But yeah, I definitely have to spray her a lot. I mean, she just has a lot more humidity than anybody else.
Right.
And you know what's crazy? I got this girl, and dude, she was so dry that she couldn't even like climb to the wall. Like she would just fall.
Oh
And it was
no.
the scariest thing for a while because she would try to climb up the walls and stuff, and she would freaking fall. And I would
Oh,
hear her fall, dude. Like she would literally fall. She would land on her feet and her butt in the air. But I was like, Alfredo, it's gonna take one mishap and you're gonna die. And so like
right.
that whole time I was worried. And I mean, obviously I did things to like better her situation. I have a really big cork piece in the middle. I made sure I had both sides covered with decor so that she always has something to hold on to. I made sure to put a lot of sphagnum moss on the ground so that when she fell, it was going to be padded when she
Right.
fell. And then she barely made it out of that molt man, but she did. And her carapace was still stuck to her head for a few weeks. It fell off by itself after I amped up the humidity in her enclosure.
Right.
And
Loosens
now
up on that.
yeah, but now she's much better. She can climb. She's good, but and
Good.
she's still a fickle eater, man. She will grab prey and let it go. She'll like envenomate it and then let it go.
Mine does that too.
So I have to sit there for a little bit and wait until she gets it in her mouth, or because before she didn't have any webbing for me to put the crickets in. And so I was worried about her like just even finding them to eat them, because for a while she just wasn't finding them and she wasn't eating them, and I was worried that she was going to starve to death. So I learned how to feed her with the tongs, but like now I can just leave them in the webs and she'll find them. But those avics can be tricky. So
They're
if your
tricky.
avic is having a hard time eating, don't feel like you're alone or like you're the only one. It's
very normal.
I've noticed it's a problem with them, and unfortunately, I've also seen people like their avic didn't eat, and then it starved to death.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there's so many more things you could have tried, but I do understand like it is a spider, and not everybody's gonna know the answers to everything.
Right.
But,
And like it's hard too when you've got
but it would be good to know.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good to like, do these podcasts and let everybody know like our avics are just as hard,
Right. Letting people, it really doesn't matter like how long you've been doing it, like you're constantly going to be learning. And I think like I'm always telling people, I'm like, every single mistake that you've made, I've done it 5 times over. Trust me. Like that's just, it's part of the hobby,
Right.
And luckily, it sucks, but it's also really great because it does help us grow,
Yeah. And luckily tarantulas are pretty hardy for the most part. So you really
I would say so.
You gotta really try hard to mess it up,
I think when you start getting into like scorpions, I find that's when you get into more of the like sensitive areas. And that was another thing when we were talking about having water dishes in tarantulas and how tarantulas cannot drown. Just a heads up for everyone. Don't do that with your scorpions. Make sure that water dish is so incredibly shallow.
Oh yeah. No deep water dishes.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people keep scorpions and they've got like an inch deep water dish, and I'm like, get it out. They're gonna drown.
Yeah, it's got to be like one of like those really shallow ones that it only fills up like a quarter of an inch tall.
Right. I'll get those they're actually like baby crested gecko feeding cups, and they're silicone.
Oh.
But they're so small that like the whole body can't fit in there, but they're big enough for them to drink the water.
I'll show you guys mine real quick. What we're kind of talking about. I'll get it out of my scorpions. My Asian first scorpion's in a 23 gallon.
Is he really?
Yep.
She?
Yep. He.
Oh, wow.
This is his enclosure. I don't know where he's at. Oh, he's way back here. You see him?
Oh, I see his tail hopping. Yeah.
Yeah.
There he is.
Oh, so here's the water dish.
That's the exact one I have. Yep.
Yep. Nice and shallow. Yeah.
Those are perfect.
Yeah, he loves his big 20-gallon. I bought this enclosure originally for my ball python, just because that's all they had at the show for me to buy, and I ended up upgrading him. But I had him in a 6-gallon, and he just wasn't happy. And I put him in here, and he's always out walking around every night. He loves
He's
it.
an active boy.
Yeah, but I do keep him cooler. And he still seems to be doing fine with that. I thought he was going to be I thought it was going to kill him. That he was going to be cooler, but he actually does really well.
Huh.
Maybe it's one of those situations where you're not doing well.
It's weird though, because like even scorpions, they throw me off more than tarantulas sometimes.
Yeah, but I did recently, I did get him off the ground, which was a huge thing. Because you know how like the ground is always so much colder than the air is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so... he is now like off the ground, and it's probably about like 74 where he's sitting. So.
Okay. That's like, I feel like they're pretty good at room temp,
They are good at room temp.
Yeah.
And I do have my scorpioning up on the shelf a little bit higher just because she is the baby, but yeah.
My Asian forest is up on the top shelf. She's the youngest. And then I have obviously the desert hairy, but then the Florida bark scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. People have said that bark scorpions are very defensive, but he has been the sweetest scorpion I've ever worked with.
It all depends on the scorpion.
It really does. He's so chill, so calm. I'm like, all right, my dude.
Yeah, because like my scorpion, he will hiss at me. He'll pinch me. If he yeah, he goes full fight mode.
He's ready to square up and throw hands.
Dude, I tried to hold him one time, and I put a sweatshirt on, and I did it how the guy told me to in the video, which is like get his attention with a distraction, then back him up onto my arm with the sweatshirt on, and then have him sit there. But then he started going up my arm towards my face, and I was
no.
Let's not do that. I literally just laid on the floor and let him crawl off of me.
The
just
single tear rolls down as you're just like,
yeah.
Oh God,
I just and it could. I just and like no matter how many times I've interacted with him, he's still the same scorpion.
They spicy. They're just like, we don't want a single thing to do with you. Stay away.
No. He's like, bye. And it's so funny, too, because, like, I'll try to feed him for people, like, on videos and stuff, but he's, like, the biggest shy freaking baby I ever have had. Like, he literally will, like, run away. He'll put it in his claws, drop it, and then run away. I'm like, dude, you're such a mean, tough scorpion, huh?
You all bark and no bite, buddy.
All bark and no bite. Baby. Sometimes I'll just go in there and, like, tap his tail.
Because you're not going to do anything.
If I'm feeling ballsy, I'll just...
Because I did that once with my Asian forest, and she whipped around so fast, she was like, excuse me? Did you just touch me kind of deal?
He'll run away.
She was ready.
He'll run away.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, oh, you touched me.
A little courage, the cowardly scorpion,
Dude, seriously. The other one, she will throw claws with me, though. I won't play with her.
Women be spicy sometimes. Like, what can we say?
That's why I'm saying, like, I'm a tarantula, too. When I wake up, you wake me up while I'm trying to sleep.
Forget it.
I'm
throwing hands. Let's go.
Forget it. Like, I don't remember the last time anybody's woken me up. Because
I won't let them. I gotta wake up on my own, because if I don't, I'm like, no, we do risk a bite. I might bite.
I might bite you.
You never know. Like, be gone.
Be gone. But, Megan, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about for this podcast episode?
I think we pretty much covered it all, really. It was really good.
Yeah, I had
a good conversation, a lot of really good topics, and I'm glad we got to talk about old worlds and kind of just, going into the fact that they're not monsters. They're amazing, they're beautiful animals, and they need a little more respect.
Yeah, and that's all it is respect. You know? Like don't mess with them. Don't make them so mad that they come out running and bite you. Don't. They're just not. That's just them being like, hey, leave me alone.
Right.
If you
giving
look
you
at
a
it
heads
like
up.
that, then you'll just be like, you'll be less offended.
Right. Exactly.
Because they're really not that animal to cuddle with or to be confiding your feelings into, because they don't give a crap.
They really don't.
You
They
know,
really don't. And that's the biggest thing. If you want companionship in your animal,
get a reptile.
get a reptile, get a cat.
That's why I have reptiles.
100%. I get that from my reptiles. I get that connection, and then the spiders are just
They're
just
hang
beautiful
around.
animals that we love, you know?
They just exist.
Yeah.
In their perfect little spoiled worlds. But
So spoiled.
it's been so much fun talking with you, Megan. I'm kind of sad to end the podcast, but we are like 2.5 hours in. So
Yes, absolutely.
I do want to thank you so much for joining me today. And even with our little time schedule mess up earlier, I appreciate you so much for still being able to come on and join. And girl, we got to do this again with all the girls.
I would absolutely love to do this again.
You both, we got to do like a really big group girl chat thing.
We should. That's a really good idea, actually, is get a lot of female creators together and like,
yeah,
I
do one
would love that.
Wait, big one podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Sorry, I talk so dyslexic that I will talk backwards.
You do?
Yeah.
Listen, before we end, funny story that has nothing to do with what we talked about, but dyslexia.
Yes.
So there are executive flights, right?
Yes.
And my partner and I are driving back from, I think we were going to Orlando, we're driving back home. And I look at this sign and I go, babe, what's an execution flight? He goes, what do you mean? So what's an execution flight? He said, babe, that says executive. That's how bad I read words. Yeah, I thought it was a flight that they sent people on that like they didn't like, and like, I don't know. The world's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Freaking. Okay, so for example, if I wanted to say I took the dog for a walk, the dog walked the took.
Yes.
That's how I see it originally. Then I had to go back and translate it. And I'm like,
yes. Reevaluate my sentence.
It's so bad though. Sometimes I'd be reading the most graphic crap though.
It's like so far out here, right?
Why did my brain even go there, bro? Like, did we really have to take it that far?
Like, why did my brain do this?
That's why, like, oh my gosh, like, that's why, like, none of my posts are perfect. Like, you will not, like, dude, my friend Shayla on my Patreon slide for my YouTube channel, right? She's been on there for, like, ever. I don't even know what I did, but I must have looked at it and I read it wrong, even though her name was correctly put in the first time. And then I went in there and changed it from Shayla to like Shill, and it's been like that for weeks. And then her daughter pointed it out, and she's like, "I think Jenny spelled your name wrong." And then she messaged me, and I was like, "Bitch, I did. I totally did." Or like, also in my Patreon slide, I accidentally put the word ass instead of as, and it didn't matter how many times I reread that crap over. It still read it perfectly clear.
I've done that before, and then I won't realize it though until I get a call from my mom, right? And she's like, "Hey,
yeah,
like, did you know you typed this out?" And I'm like, "Oh crap, that doesn't make any sense. My bad."
Yeah, for real, dude. Dyslexia is such a hard thing to live with.
It's rough. On top of the ADHD and just.
Oh my god, dude, being in school, it was like I had subtitles on all the time.
All the time.
You know, and just like I seen somebody said that one time, and I was like, dude, that really was my issue. And I used to like count steps walking from class to class, like
I still do it. I'll count the steps walking up and down the stairs. It's ridiculous.
It's okay. It's just part of who we are.
It is.
Just
love
makes
it or hate it. I don't care. I
counted my steps today. I didn't need no GoPro watch. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
But All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for joining, and thank you again, Megan, for the amazing episode. I
Jen,
look
thanks for
forward-
having me. Like this was awesome. This was a
Yeah,
great
you definitely got to
opportunity.
co-host with me sometime, girl.
I'd love to. I would absolutely love to.
For sure.
Yeah.
And also think about making your own podcast too, if that's something that you would like to do. We do have
It
some
is.
spots
It's something I've been
open.
thinking about actually for a while. I kind of got to learn the ropes of it and how to start. But yeah, I've been wanting to do that for a hot minute. I'm looking into it.
Okay, well, I'll text you after we talk, and I'll just give you a little bit of the rundown, and we can talk about it. But
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
yes, but thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, friends, frogs, lizards, snakes, and spiders are your friend. Let's make a better world for them. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed week.
In the web of knowledge we spin all day, talking spiders every week they don't play. From the tarantula to the tiny mite, 8 legs of wisdom bringing truth to light. On the spider sense they break down the fear, creepy crawly legends are getting clear. For the love of science spreading wide, uniting communities in arachnid pride. We tune in, listen up, let it ride.